some reception.
Oh, something you can't fail to be touched by. Incredible. Such a special young person, young goalkeeper, so highly respected at the club. And you speak as a human and as a parent.
I noticed his mum, Natalie, she turned round and blew kisses to the crowd. She's just done the same as well, as Mark Noble is now carrying the wreath from the edge of the centre circle, where indeed the under-15 squad had also carried his shirt as well. So an extremely poignant start to today's game. It's the usual goal service on BBC Radio 5 Live. West Ham United against Brighton and Hove Albion. And for Julian Lopetegui as well, he's had to deal with his own grief this week because his father at the age of 94 passed away on Tuesday. He returned back to Spain for the funeral. Jose was 94. He was actually a champion weightlifter in the Basque sport of stone lifting. So it's been a difficult few days for Julian Lopetegui. And it certainly puts into perspective any talk of pressure on the West Ham United manager. As we're underway, there are a lot of bubbles that have been blown out of the machine that are still drifting in the air on this grey afternoon, as West Ham United in their claret and sky blue shirts and white shorts, playing from left to right as we look, with Fabianski in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Mavropanos, Kilman and Emerson. Emerson coming back into the side. Sofal is the one that drops out. Alvarez, Soucek, Kudus, Bowen, Fulkrug and Paquetá. Fulkrug, it's his first start in the Premier League. He comes in for the suspended Soler, who's accumulated 5 yellow cards, so 2 changes from the team that played against Bournemouth. And Brighton have made 3 changes. Veltman for Lamptey at right back, Gruder and Vifa coming in for Minte and Ayari. Verbruggen is in goal, Veltman, Van Hecke, Duncan, Estepinian, Gruder, Vifa, Baleba, Ruter, Mitoma and João Pedro. And Brighton and Hove Albion in their white and royal blue striped shirts and royal blue shorts are playing from right to left. And they have a very good record here at the London Stadium as that flag is up. Somebody coming back from an offside position. But we've already had a disallowed goal at Portman Road. Chris Coles.
Or so we think, because this is still being checked by VAR. Alexander Isak has put the ball in the Ipswich net. This VAR check is now a good 2 minutes long to see whether Jacob Murphy kept himself onside. The flag went up, so VAR checking to see if Murphy is level. Still, Ipswich 0, Newcastle 0.
2 goals against Leicester last weekend. Very much a player in form as the ball goes back to Verbruggen. But Brighton are a team out of form, Paul.
Certainly were. I saw them play last week against Crystal Palace. And Crystal Palace are a team on the up, but they really picked holes in this Brighton side, conceding too many goals. They got the draw the week before at Leicester. I think conceding goals has been the problem. This is, 4 now without a win for them? And it's something that they'll have to arrest very quickly. Coming here today, obviously it's been a happy hunting ground for them, but not the last 10 in London. They've not won the last 10 Premier League away games in London. So although they've got a fantastic record here, London hasn't proved fruitful for them thus far.
No. Couple of scores to tell you about in League 2. Chesterfield are leading Wimbledon by a goal to 0, and Swindon Town are 1-0 up at home to Grimsby Town. And that goal, Chris Coles, does it stand or not?
It does stand. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1. Alexander Isak continues his excellent form. The VAR check took a good 3 minutes, but Jacob Murphy fractionally onside. Isak fired it home. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1.
So it was Isak with a goal and not Murphy. Well, Isak certainly is. He's also in a rich vein of form. So Isak's goal stands. Newcastle are ahead. Brentford, Nottingham Forest is the other game, as West Ham United playing the ball at the back towards Fabianski. As the Brighton supporters are away towards our right, and they're staggered because of the disjointed nature, the way that the London Stadium is configured in this expansive arena. As the ball again goes back towards Fabianski in a forest green all goalkeeping outfit away towards our left, and his right-footed ball goes straight out of play for a throw.
Just looking at this West Ham lineup initially with Nicholas Fulkrug coming into the starting 11 today, we were interested to see whether Jared Bowen would actually start on the right-hand side as he has done previously when he hasn't played as the 9. But it's seemingly he's been given a free licence, him and Paqueta interchanging in behind Fulkrug, who will be that number 9 figure. But at the start of the match, Jared Bowen's been the one that's been in and around him.
Paul Robinson former England international goalkeeper, with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live, as Brighton have got a throw on that far side, the right, midway through their own half, and in no real hurry to take it. Veltman coming back into the side, back to Van Hecke. It's his 100th appearance in English football here today. The blonde-haired Dutch defender back towards Verbruggen. There's not much of a tempo about proceedings. I know we're only 4 minutes in. It still feels quite sedate.
It does. Both teams are happy to let the other have possession in areas that can't hurt the other one. No high press, if you like. You're used to seeing this high tempo, high intensity press, but both teams haven't executed that.
Well, Brighton are pressing now. The ball goes back to Fabianski, clears it away from Ruta, and it'll go right down the middle. Van Hecke brings it under control and just manages to flick it away from Bowen. Estupiñán, the left back, shy of the halfway line, rolls it forward. Mitoma will give it back to Estupiñán, who gives the ball away. Wan-Bissaka, nice footwork on the halfway line for West Ham. Rolled it back, little drag back. Paquetá is there, went to ground far too easily. But he gets a free kick in his favour. So it's a slow start. How's it started at Brentford? John Southall.
A lively start in Brentford 0, Forest 0. First chance of the afternoon to Brentford. Weiser on the right-hand side, picked out Damsgaard 12 yards out. Good chance there, saved by Sells to his right-hand side. Brentford 0, Forest 0.
Thank you, John. Match of the day tonight is at 10:30 on BBC One. And Crystal Palace Arsenal is our next commentary after Sports Report at 5:30. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 1 is a latest score at Oakwell. Emerson is forward on that far side. Kudos whips over the cross from the left, rears up for Estupiñán, challenged by Bowen, and then clattered away by Dunk for a throw.
So important, Jarrod Bowen, to this West Ham side. 4 goals, 4 assists, and he's at the heart of everything that they do.
Well, he turned 28 yesterday. He'll be hoping to celebrate his birthday with a goal, as we welcome listeners to the BBC World Service to the London Stadium. Wherever you are, our best wishes go to you at this festive time of the year, and thank you for joining us. You haven't missed a great deal. It is still 0-0 between West Ham United and Brighton and Hove Albion. 6 minutes played. Alvarez jumps over the ball, runs through to Mavropanos, gives it back to Alvarez, now with Kilman. Mavropanos along the ground. The interception there was with Vifa. And now to João Pedro. Even then, it was a slow jog rather than herring away down the left.
It was a turnover of possession where you would expect Brighton to burst out of position. João Pedro, Gruda, Mitoma be a bit more expansive, try and expose West Ham for the mistake, but it wasn't. João Pedro chose, he turned, recycled possession and kept the ball.
Well, Burton Albion have appointed Gary Bowyer as their new manager. They've only had 1 win of their last 10 at home, but they have taken the lead against Exeter City. Burton Albion 1, Exeter City 0. Leyton Orient have only lost 1 of 6, and let's hear about their goal at Oakwell from Steve Wyeth.
The goal scored from the game's first corner kick, swung in by Ollie O'Neill. Jamie Donnelly afforded space at the back post just to squeeze a header between goalkeeper Ben Killip and that back post. Leyton Orient in good form, unbeaten in 3 and in front early on, leading 1-0.
Ball tipped over the top, Bowen into the penalty area. Bowen is there, saved by Verbruggen. Down at his near post, he was crouching, but it was a really good strong run by Jarrod Bowen.
Really good ball over the top by Mavropanos. Exposed the left back to Estupiñán into Jarrod Bowen's path. 2 or 3 touches. He knew when he was in the box, he knew that Estupiñán couldn't touch him. Made his run direct at the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper, to his credit, stood his ground and made the block at the near post.
The goalkeeper will be happy with his angles, I would imagine.
He was, Verbruggen, and he's under a little bit of pressure at the moment. I think there's a little bit of feeling from some Brighton fans that he's not performing to the level that he has been. I've seen him a couple of times, not necessarily errors that are leading to goals, but certain situations where he maybe could have done better. He's getting a run in the team this season. Last season it was obviously rotated between him and Jason Steele, but Verbruggen seems to be the out-and-out number 1 choice, but not playing to the level that he's been expected.
Northampton 0, Charlton 1 is the latest score in League One, and a goal at Ellen Road. Lee Blakeman.
And Paul Robinson will like it. Leeds 1, Oxford United 0. Dan James with a tap in at the back post off a good cross from the left for Manuel Solomon. 8 played, Leeds 1, Oxford United 0.
Not so much of a good start for Oxford United with their new manager Gary Rowett, who's actually watching from the stands after his appointment. Craig Short is the caretaker manager. Wigan leads Shrewsbury by a goal to nil in League One, and you're up to date with the goals as they go in. As Estupiñán midway through his own half on this near side, playing from right to left as we look. They've been playing for 9 minutes. Passes the ball back to Verbruggen.
Slow, patient Brighton, as you would expect, but trying to draw West Ham out of position, playing short passes, playing the ball again into midfield, but again losing possession.
Alvarez to Bowen, turned around, looked at his options, had support from Wan-Bissaka on this near side, the right. Paquetá looks for the run of Bowen, but an outstretched leg from Mats FIFA diverts the ball behind for a corner kick to West Ham United.
And they've been good at corners, West Ham. It's something that they've looked for. The set pieces is the topical thing in the Premier League at the moment, isn't it? West Ham are the second lowest scorers in open play. Each their last 5 goals, Premier League goals, have come from set plays.
Well, Bowen gets a nice round of applause from the set of supporters who are in this main stand here in the London Stadium, who are standing up in that right-hand side as it comes in, flicked on and flicked behind. I think it was Estupiñán who got it away. We'll quickly go to Burnley. There's been a goal. Katie Smith.
And anything Leeds can do, we can do as well, say Burnley. They lead Watford by a goal to nil. A nice bit of work down the left-hand side, crossed in. Fleming leaves it, lashed home by Jadon Anthony, 1-0.
Yep, it's tight at the top. They're just a point behind Leeds United of Burnley in third. West Ham then, in the claret and sky blue, with an out-swinging corner from that far side, the left, aimed towards Mavropanos. Brighton get it away. And then Kudos running back will play it all the way back midway through his own half, and it goes towards Fabianski. Let's get the latest from Ascot with John Hunt.
Ian, more big race success for Venetia Williams. She's had one heck of a month with the likes of Gemiran, J-Lo, Royal Pagaille. She's another winner now. Victorino has won the Silver Cup here at Ascot, the 5-2 favourite. A thrilling finish, just beating the changing man with 3 under through 5 back in third place. There is no stopping Venetia Williams, no hotter trainer around at the moment, and Victorino, another winner for her.
Thank you, John. Changing man needs a change of fortunes. 0-0 here. 11 minutes played between West Ham and Brighton. Mavropanos plays it up towards the halfway line. Paquetá is short, he turns and plays it back. And West Ham United just keeping the ball at the back at this stage. Here is Mavropanos. He once again is just exchanging passes there with Alvarez, who actually dropped in between the 2 central defenders. Right-footed, and that's going to be offside against Kudos all day long.
Miles offside, Kudos, and he shouldn't be offside. He's on the far side, and we're dead in line with him. He's looking along the back line of Brighton, and as soon as the ball's kicked, you can see he shouldn't be offside, because you can see along the whole line.
Still can't get away from the tempo of the game.
Slow, isn't it?
It is.
Slow, sluggish.
It's unusual, though, particularly at the start of a game, to see a Premier League fixture being played at such a pace.
The quickest thing that I've seen today is your pen fly down after John Hunt read that racing result out. You weren't pleased with that, was you?
Let's put it this way, it wasn't what I wanted to hear from him. Newport County lead MK Dons by a goal to nil. Charlton have got a second at Sixfields. Northampton Town nil, Charlton 2 is the latest in League One. There's Brighton, Maleba, João Pedro with his back to goal, 30 yards out from goal, now able to turn the way that Brighton are playing, right to left, right corner of the area, and then Gruder goes to ground, and our referee, who's Rob Jones, gives a free kick to Brighton.
It's clever there, Gruder. He gets himself in a position, he twists and turns. He's going up a dead end, really. He's got nothing on, but he puts himself in between him and Kudos, guards the ball well, and Kudos dives in. Gruder goes down very easily, but it's a free kick in a dangerous position for Brighton, right on the corner of the 18-yard box.
Well, they've certainly sent the 2 central defenders forward in Van Hecke and Dunk. There's a bit of a conversation on the right corner of the area. Pedro, Estupiñán's also wandered over there. So they've got a 3-way conversation. Gruder is the other. And West Ham United have got everybody back. They've got 2 in the wall inside the penalty area. Estupiñán is walking away. And the ball is being placed down now. João Pedro looks like he's disinterested at this stage, but I'm wondering if that's a bit of a decoy as Gruder waits to take it. If it's Gruder, it'll be an in-swinging free kick. Right corner of the penalty area, 0-0. 5 Live, BBC Sound to the World Service. It is Gruder. It's a flat ball in, skied up in the air. Penalty area, Vipa heads it on and heads it out of play. They met here at the start of 2024, January the 2nd. It was 0-0 that particular afternoon. I've seen nothing in the opening 14 minutes to suggest we could be having another dud.
Well, I think what you said there, the urgency from both sides, the atmosphere at the start of the kick-off, it was really good atmosphere, but now just seems to have gone flat. There's no real urgency, no press. I think that's the important thing. We're so often seeing high presses and high tempo presses, and on the turnover of possession, teams look to exploit spaces. We haven't seen that. It's been very, very mundane.
There are a sprinkling of white empty seats around the London Stadium as well. We'll go to Portman Road, Chris Coles.
Newcastle still leading Ipswich by a goal to nil, nearly a second for Newcastle. Murphy's ball in from the right, Gordon arriving at pace, his header into the ground and over the bar. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1.
Ball goes back to Fabianski. Brentford, Nottingham Forest is also goalless. Mavropanos coming forward, accelerates a little bit to the halfway line. Bone had actually come short. Down the line it goes. Wan-Bissaka's ball infield, tried to be taken on the run by Bowen, his outstretched left foot, but then Mavropanos running back helps tidy up. Aberdeen have just taken the lead at Pittodrie. They're leading Hibs by a goal to nil in the Scottish Premiership. We'll get news of that goal from Gavin Wallace in a wee while, but at Pittodrie the Dons are ahead 0-0 here on 5 Live as Kilman comes forward and he was stopped, but the referee I think has given a free kick. He was fouled just inside his own half. 2 or 3 occasions Mavropanos and Kilman, the 2 centre-halves for West Ham, they're just allowed to strode out of defence with the ball deep into the Brighton half without being closed down. And here is Gavin Wallace to tell us all about that Aberdeen goal.
It was a great goal actually, well worked down the left-hand side from Toffee Keskin, and he had Sockler looking for it in front of him, Ian, but he decided to cut inside and slot it home to the far side of Jordan Smith and goals. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 0.
Weighted ball from Wan-Bissaka. Look for the run of Bowen on the right-hand side of the penalty area, and it forced Dunk to slide and force it behind for a corner.
You can see why Jared Bowen's so important to this West Ham team. Is integral. Every time that they turn over possession, they look for him in behind, whether it's down the side of the full-back, down the side of the centre-half. That time it's down the side of Lewis Dunk, who does really well. Goes with Jared Bowen, stride for stride, slides, puts it out for another corner.
He stretches teams, doesn't he, Jared Bowen? He's going to take the corner on this near side, the right arm aloft. It's a one towards the far post. Bit of a scramble at the far post. Mavropanos couldn't get it goalwards. Matoma will run it clear on that far side, the Brighton right. He had Gruder going through the middle, but he couldn't spot him. They slide it through. Now breaking through was Jorginho Rutter, and he was fouled, and that is going to be a yellow card to Paquetá, and that means that Paquetá will be suspended for the trip to Southampton away on Boxing Day, because they've got a number of players on yellow peril for the accumulation of yellow cards, and Paquetá is one of them.
Works really hard there, Paquetá, to get back just inside Jorginho Rutter. He's clever, hooks his leg on Paquetá, but actually I thought the initial ball through to Jorginho Rutter, he was offside. It's one of those situations where we have to see it play out. He was unfortunate to get booked.
Newport County have got a second goal. They lead MK Dons by 2-0 in League Two. So once again Gruder stands over this free kick for Brighton and Hove Albion. Less than 30 yards out from goal. It's on the right hand side, but it's still quite central as Gruder, left-footed, towards Dunk, volleys it back in towards the penalty area, and eventually West Ham get the ball away, and the referee spotted a foul, and there'll be a free kick to West Ham United. Let's get another update from Brentford. John Southall.
Brentford 0, Forest 0. Just had a little bit of pressure though from Forest. Wood with a shot straight at Flecken for Brentford, and Boomer on the right hand side picked out Ayer at the far post, just stretching, and he headed wide. Brentford 0, Forest 0.
This is the first of 7 Premier League commentaries. 5 Live, the home of the Premier League this weekend, and it culminates tomorrow also in London. Spurs against Liverpool at 4:30, but the top 3 in the top flight will be covered this weekend.
What a game that's going to be tomorrow, isn't it? Spurs against Liverpool. I mean, we saw Tottenham play midweek in the Carabao Cup. We saw how defensively susceptible they were. We know what Liverpool can do offensively. That will be a cracking game to tune in tomorrow and have a listen to that one.
It certainly will be. And as John Murray explained in the latest episode of the recently It's in its embryonic stages, I think, the podcast, the commentator's view. When he's with Clinton Morrison, goals are guaranteed. And you can download episode 5 through the 5 Live Football Daily feed, where you'll also hear Steve Bunce, who every day has, in fact, he's the special guest in the commentator's view, but every day Steve Bunce has been doing his own podcast with the boxing, 5 Live Boxing, ahead of the big fight tonight that is live on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Here is Pedro running forward, he's overhit that, Ruta won't keep the ball in play. Didn't think he did, now it's a late flag on the far side. Looked even from here and we're a long way away from the action, but it had gone out. Hibs have got an equaliser incidentally at Pittodrie. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 1. And Bromley are leading Morecambe by 1-0. Morecambe, who are yet to win at home this season in League 2. They've drawn 3 and lost 6, and Bromley, unbeaten in 8, have taken the lead as West Ham United are attacking on the far side, but the attack peters out and Brighton and Hove Albion have been awarded a free kick. So let's get details of that Hibs equaliser from Gavin.
Ian, it was a counter-attack. Martin Boyle bursting down that right-hand side. Aberdeen caught with a high line. Ellie Ewan screaming for it, and he tapped in from the cutback into the empty net. It is Aberdeen 1, Hibernian 1.
20 minutes played, 0-0. Paul Robinson.
It's slow, isn't it? It's slow. I mean, we're going around the grounds listening to the goals, but actually the tempo here, it's lacking real quality. The only player on the pitch at the moment that's shown any type of quality is Jared Bowen. We've spoken about him before about how integral he is to this side, but there's a real lack of quality and precision in the final third. Decision making, the final ball, the final pass, it's just lacking from the game at the moment.
Ball hit over the top by Belabor. Matoma did ever so well to keep it in play. Outstretched his right foot. There's a cushion ball. 2 black balloons are coming onto the field of play now. Feeds it inside to Vifa. He finds Gruder, got it out from underneath his feet, but it was a heavy first touch, and as a result West Ham were able to clear, but they've lost it. Veltman back down towards Gruder, right hand side of the penalty area. Gruder can't get past Emerson, has some support from Vifa. Van Hecker thought about chipping the ball in, instead passes the ball back out towards Gruder, right corner of the box, still 0-0. Van Hecker inside the penalty area, can't get the shot away, plays it behind him towards Gruder. He can't deliver the ball, but he edges his way into the penalty area. Here is João Pedro, scoops it long, Matoma down into the ground, good save by Fabianski. Smart down at the near post, as there's been a goal at the Stadium of Light, John Bennett.
And it's gone to Norwich. Sunderland 0, Norwich 1. They hadn't conceded from a corner this season, Sunderland, but a corner caused chaos. Gelmarth scramble. Slimani was there to fire in from close range. Sunderland 0, Norwich 1.
Their patience was almost rewarded.
Lovely chip to the back post there. Gruder on the right hand side with his left foot. It looked like they were trying to be too precise, trying to create the perfect goal, and they almost did, Brighton. Gruder's chip to the back post was beautiful, found Matoma in space as Wan-Bissaka closed him down. He hit it on the left foot volley, Matoma, down at Fabianski's near post. Fabianski once again playing extremely well, makes a really good save for his team.
So just to round up at the top of the Championship at the moment, the leaders Sheffield United drawing away at Cardiff 0-0. Leeds United and Burnley, second and third respectively, are both leading by 1-0, but fourth place Sunderland have fallen behind as Belabor forward to Gruder. Challenge came in. Brighton have lost the ball. They try and win it back with Matoma, who's actually behind the left back Estepinian, and on this near side it is Matoma who tidies up, and Van Hecker keeps it in the centre circle. Forward ball, Vifa hits it forward, powerful ball as well. Pedro gives away a free kick in his desperation to keep hold of the ball. So that's how it looks at the top of the Championship. In the Premier League earlier, Aston Villa beat Manchester City by 2-1. The latest from Portman Road comes from Chris Coles.
0-0 Newcastle 1 in the pouring rain, but first signs of attacking threat from Ipswich. 2 good chances. Kayuste edge of the area just over the bar, and Smodic's played through, but Dubravka quickly out to smother him. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1.
Newport County have got a third at home to MK Dons in League 2. Newport County 3, MK Dons 0. John Southall's watching Brentford, Nottingham Forest.
Brentford 0, Forest 0. Chance for Brentford though. Murato, the centre half, skied the ball up high, didn't deal with it when it came down. Wiesa got on the other side of him and then hooked it over the bar. Brentford 0, Forest 0.
Alvarez caught in possession. The referee has played an advantage because there might have been a foul there on Carlos Belabor, but he let the game flow, and now all of a sudden he's blown his whistle because there was actually a foul on Paquetá, and he gets up off his knees and has a word with referee Rob Jones. Portman Road, there's been a big chance, but to who to, Chris Coles?
To Newcastle, they really should be 2-0 up. Alexander Isak, all the time in the world inside the penalty area, went for the bottom corner finish with the inside of his foot, got it horribly wrong and it chipped up into Murich's grateful hands. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 1.
West Ham United have the ball at the back. Alvarez has dropped in between the two central defenders. It allowed Wan-Bissaka to get forward. He actually made a run, but nobody spotted it on this near side, the right.
No, nobody spotted it, but Brighton are pressing higher. The manager says at the edge of his technical area he's not, he's pacing the touchline up and down, smashing his hands together. He's really not happy, the Brighton manager. He's got Baleba and Weaver, the two holding midfielder. He's pushed them higher up the pitch, which in turn has taken the team higher up as a whole, and they're winning the ball higher up now.
Not much of a break in the clouds on this, the leaden skies that hover over the London Stadium, 0-0. There's Kudus, links up with Paquetá, releases it out towards Wan-Bissaka, early ball in. Souček was trying to get on the end of it. It was a devilish ball from the right-hand side, played in early, and Brighton forced to concede the corner.
You can see why Thomas Souček scores so many goals for West Ham, arriving late into the box. Again, what you said about Wan-Bissaka on this right-hand side. This time he gets found, gets to the edge of the 18-yard box, and he whips a lovely ball in. Souček can't just get there in front of Veltman, who heads it away.
So it's a corner kick to West Ham United, playing from left to right as we look on that far side, the left. And it's going to be an outswinger, and it comes now. And Veltman just touches the ball to Estepinian, and a break is on. It was 2 against 3. The ball from Estepinian has forced Gruder far out wide on that far side. Wan-Bissaka dives in, gets the ball, and is a well-timed challenge. Had to get there as well, otherwise Gruder would have been away. Kudos is helping him out, and West Ham United have dealt with that situation pretty effectively.
Do you know, that's such a good tackle by Wan-Bissaka. We talk about his one-on-one defending, criticised sometimes about going forward in his offensive work, but again there he was in a position where he didn't really want to find himself. We've seen him play left back, but at that time he was exposed in the left back position. He's gone for a tackle with the outside of his right boot. He's timed it to perfection.
Souček has spread it out towards Wan-Bissaka, who's now coming forward, marauding on this near side, the right, but Matoma has come back at him, helps out, then they lose the ball. Bowen helps win it back for West Ham. Souček central position, 30 yards out from goal. Kudus is challenged, loses it, and here is Pedro able to turn and to run with the ball towards the halfway line, but he's on this near side, the left. Matoma going on the overlap, and in the end João Pedro just runs out of playing surface, and it goes over the touchline and out for a West Ham throw, and it's starting to pick up.
It's like all of a sudden they've realised that 3 points are at stake. The managers have got the message on, they're snapping into challenges, and both teams now looking to press higher up the field, win the ball earlier. Better from West Ham, you've got to say. Brighton have had little spells, but West Ham down this right-hand side with Wan-Bissaka and the interchange with Jared Bowen, they look dangerous.
Ross County 0, St Mirren 1, offside against Jared Bowen. That's in the Scottish Premiership. And at Field Mill in League One, Mansfield Town are leading Rotherham United by 1-0. There's Lopetegui in that technical area down in front of us, is with his dark jacket, his hands inside his grey trouser pockets, watching on, and will be quite pleased with his side in the last few moments or so. But it's still 0-0.
Well, he seems to be under pressure every week, doesn't he, Julian Lopetegui, for the change that West Ham have made, and he coming in. The result last week against Bournemouth, the win at Wolves, the two defeats prior to that. I was actually at the Leicester game. They played reasonably well. It sounds silly, they lost 3-1, but almost dominated that game without having the chances. They've got a big game next week against Southampton, and then following that they've got some really big games. So this week and next week are key to get some results.
Veltman steps out of defence, then gives the ball towards Baleba, who runs forward, slides it in towards Matoma, bobbles away from Matoma, and then just coming and covering was Kilman, who clears it inside that 6-yard area. Paquetá is going to come under pressure from Baleba, and he's fouled on the edge of his own penalty area. Barnsley have fallen further behind at home to Leyton Orient. Leyton Orient have got a second goal at Oakwell in League One. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 2. Certainly that Wolves game, I mean, we all know what's happened, sadly, to Gary O'Neill from his perspective recently with losing his job at Wolves. But that Wolves game, both managers were under intense pressure, but they got that victory here at home, and then they followed it up on Monday night with a draw at Bournemouth.
A Bournemouth team who, let's be honest, are playing really well this year, especially at home. They're a tough team to beat. So the draw at Bournemouth and the way that his team played, he'll be happy with that. As I say, an important game for them here today and next against Southampton. But It's strange, isn't it, because we talk about Lopetegui seemingly every week, but then they get 1 or 2 results but then seem to fall back. It's about consistency and stringing a run of results together, and a certain style of play and identity. I think you can see a change, especially with Fulkrug coming into the side today.
The voice of Paul Robinson on BBC Radio 5 Live, the BBC Sounds app, and also World Service. Notts County without a win in 5 are leading against Bradford City at Meadow Lane by a goal to nil as Brighton chip the ball out to this near side the left. Pedro wants to take it away from Paquetá, runs away from Paquetá, enters the penalty area, runs into a central area, and then was stopped by Souček. And Brighton now might be able to break, but Fulkrug couldn't get the ball towards Bowen, and Brighton just had enough of white and royal blue striped shirts inside that centre circle to deal with it.
So much higher up the pitch for Brighton as a unit. The game was so spread, which was allowing both teams to have the comfortable possession. But now he's finally got his message onto the pitch, the manager. And as a unit, they look a lot tighter, they look more compact, and they're moving up and down the pitch in thirds as a compact unit. And when they do press, they're able to counter-attack.
Gruder on that far side, the right, plays it back to Van Hecke. Let's get news of that second Leyton Orient goal from Steve.
It's a second goal from a corner for them. Donnelly, who scored the first, delivered the corner from which captain Omar Beckles rose above everybody else to head into a vacant net. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 2.
Cheers, Steve. Here is Matoma, left-hand side, level the penalty area. Is away from Bowen. It's his right-footed ball that is headed away by Emerson, the left back inside the penalty area. Kudos drops to his knees and then releases to Emerson. Runs forward. His diagonal ball, just shy of the halfway line, is going to go out to this near side for Estepinian from one left back to the other. Lopetegui was trying to get those claret and sky blue shirts further down the field. Notts County have now got a second goal, 2 goals in the space of 3 minutes. They lead Bradford City 2-0 in League 2. Paul.
Yeah, it's now Lopetegui who wants his team to squeeze up and to make the pitch smaller. Brighton just enjoying a good spell of possession with Van Hecke and Dunk controlling things at the back. Baleba and Wafer are the two. They're the ones that have put the pressure on higher up the pitch.
Matoma collects it up against Wan-Bissaka, looks to go on the outside of him. Wan-Bissaka though just stands off and waits for Matoma to make a mistake, and he does, and they lose the ball. Another goal at Portman Road, Chris Coles.
And another for Newcastle, who now lead Ipswich by 2-0. A very unpopular goal scorer here, the former Norwich winger Jacob Murphy, slamming in off the underside of the crossbar from just inside the box. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 2.
He's enjoying his best run in the Newcastle United starting 11 is Jacob Murphy at the moment, and 3 goals in his last 2 games, and Newcastle United lead Ipswich by 2-0. Ipswich, who are yet to win at home. They've drawn 4, and they are in a bit of drawn 4 and lost 4 of Ipswich. Just problems at the bottom for them.
Well, we always talk about home form keeps you up, keeps you in the Premier League, doesn't it? And I think of late, Ipswich have always been in games. They've lost games narrowly. The game that they picked up against Wolves, and then since then they've always been in games. They've played well, but actually home form is going to be critical to keeping them in the league.
And that will see Newcastle United climbing the table, because they are amongst many, 10 clubs to be precise, from 4th Nottingham Forest to Manchester United in 13th, covered by just 6 points. And Brighton are in amongst that as well, on 9th in the table. West Ham United just on the periphery as the ball is chipped forward by Vifa. Downward header by Mavropanos to Alvarez. To Kudos, comes under pressure, goes in between his legs. He loses the ball, and then the referee Rob Jones is saying that Kudos was fouled.
I thought that was harsh. I thought Baleba got in, snapped into a tackle, won the ball well. And that's what they're doing so much better, Brighton. There seems to be a little bit more urgency about them now, trying to win the ball back. And Carlos Baleba, he's been excellent.
Bradford City have endured a horrible 4 minutes where they've conceded 3 goals. Notts County 3, Bradford City 0 at Meadow Lane. Matoma runs forward, out towards João Pedro, enters the penalty area. Pedro does a little step over, doesn't get the better of Mavropanos, who's just stood tall. Pedro's actually gone down inside the penalty area. So you know that'll be getting looked at by VAR, as Paquetá will just give it towards Mavropanos. The West Ham supporters aren't happy. Meanwhile, they're attacking. Now those cheers turn to cheers as Bowen enters the penalty area. The angle is tight. Cross takes a deflection, runs across the face of goal, and out for a corner kick.
Well, the Brighton players are absolutely enraged about João Pedro being down in the penalty box at the other end. But West Ham have done the right thing. It's not a head injury. He's not badly injured. They don't need to put the ball out. The referee doesn't have to stop the game. They've continued down the other end. Jarrod Bowen on this right-hand side. Again, he causes so many problems. Gets into the box, puts a cross across, and it's Lewis Dunk. It comes off the inside of his right foot like a Gianfranco Zola Cruyff all those years ago that he put in, but that was nearly into his own net. João Pedro, he's up and jogging back to defend the corner. So West Ham were absolutely in their right to do what they did.
And in comes that corner from that far side, the left. It's an away swinger. Van Hecke's gone down now. He's taken one in the face. Our featured game in League Two. Well, actually, we've got a couple of featured games in League Two. And it's the one in North Yorkshire that has seen a goal. Adam Cottier.
Harrogate 0, Walsall 1. Nathan Lowe, Walsall's top scorer, with a brilliant right foot shot, blistering shot into the far corner. Harrogate 0, Walsall 1.
And now an update from Brentford. John Southall.
Brentford 0, Forest 0. Best chance of the game for Forest. Chris Wood with the header 6 yards out, really well saved by Fleck into his left hand side. Great chance for Wood. Brentford 0, Forest 0.
We'll get an update now on the Championship leaders because Van Hecke is still getting treatment for that blow to the head. It's Cardiff, Sheffield United, Molly Stevens.
Yeah, 0-0 at the moment, Ian. Sheffield United dominating possession throughout at the moment. You'd be surprised if they don't get a goal before half-time at the moment, though, 0-0.
Well, he's taken one full in the face. It might have been by a stray boot from Mavropanos. So he's getting patched up. He is standing now, is Van Hecke, inside that penalty area for Brighton and Hove Albion. And don't think any action was taken. I'm just seeing if there's any sign of any blood there. He's got a blow just above the eye.
No, he looks okay. It looks okay. It was just a coming together in the box. He's up and getting the usual checks by the physio and the doctors. But this game's just starting slowly to bubble under. We had a really slow, poor start. It was very mundane. Both teams happy to be sacrificial in possession, let the other team have possession deep in their own half. But at the moment now, Brighton have started to snap into challenges. West Ham moving the ball out to this right-hand side. Jarrod Bowen, Paqueta, and Wan-Bissaka has been one of the biggest threats going forward with his crosses into the box. So we're not quite there yet, but we're bubbling under, let's say.
Yeah, it is very much a slow burner and just starting to simmer as Hibs have come from behind, now leading at Aberdeen by 2-1. Newport County have rattled in a fourth at home to MK Dons, and in fact Mavropanos was shown a yellow card for reckless play, so that is the second West Ham United player to be booked.
And actually, when you look at it now on the replays, we're seeing close-ups now because Van Hecke has turned round and he's looking at the camera. He's actually getting the Terry Butcher headband applied. There's a bit of blood on his face, and Mavropanos has caught him. So when you look at the replay, Mavropanos has kind of gone to flick it with the outside of his boot without looking, and his boot was obviously high, and he's caught the Brighton defender who is cut and currently getting strapped up.
Sports Report, of course, will follow this commentary at 5 o'clock. Mark Chapman live from Riyadh ahead of the big fight tonight that you'll hear on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Coverage will start at 9 o'clock. They're expecting the ring walks around 10. Alexander Usyk against Tyson Fury in Saudi Arabia. The results from earlier in the Premier League: Aston Villa beat Manchester City 2-1. The three results in the Championship: Hull City 2, Swansea 1, Portsmouth 4, Coventry 1, and Sheffield Wednesday beat Stoke City by 2-0. In League One, Bristol Rovers 1, Wrexham 1. So it means that Wycombe drew last night, Wrexham being held today. Birmingham City, they play on Monday. Lincoln 2, Reading 0. And in League 2, Barrow 2, Fleetwood 0, Doncaster Rovers 3, Tranmere 1. Brentford, Nottingham Forest, John Southall.
Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Ola Aina's just swept the ball into the bottom left-hand corner. They've been growing in confidence, Forest, and they have the goal. Brentford 0, Forest 1.
They've won 3 of their last 4. Plymouth have lost their last 4 in the Championship. A goal at home park. Hamish Marshall.
Plymouth are bottom of the table, but they're leading Middlesbrough by a 1-0, and it's deserved. Corner wasn't cleared. It was fade in from the left-hand side. Lewis Gibson headed in from 6 yards. Plymouth 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Harrogate are now down to 10 men. Josh Marsh has been sent off as they trail against the League 2 leaders Walsall. And Northampton 0, Charlton 3 is the latest in League One. You're up to date with the goals as they go in on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Van Hecke, as Paul Robinson says, with his head bandaged, wants to come onto the field of play, but at the minute is being prevented from doing so by the fourth official, Sam Borrett, as now he actually races on to take up his position in the heart of that Brighton defence, and it remains 0-0 with some 7 minutes to go to half-time.
Yeah.
Ball hit long, Bowen looked offside, Bowen takes it inside the penalty area, there's the late flag.
It's miles offside, absolutely miles offside, yet we still have to wait.
Let's get news of that. Hibs taking the lead at Pittodrie through Gavin Wallace.
Yeah, and if it stays like this, it could be back-to-back wins for them. We play 37 minutes, and it's a great goal from Nicky Cadenian. Ball towards the back post. He's got the freedom of Aberdeen, leg over it, and launches it home from about 15 yards. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2.
And all of a sudden, it doesn't seem that long ago that they were bottom of the table, that could take them 5 points clear of their Edinburgh rivals, Hearts, who prop up the Scottish Premiership at the bottom. 0-0 here. Hasn't been a classic, has it?
No, certainly hasn't. I think it's that stoppage in play hasn't really helped. We've got back underway.
Emerson enters the penalty area with a cutback. Edge of the area, Paquetá skied it. He was on the run, just inside the penalty area, quite central, left-footed, blazed it high and into the supporters behind that goal away towards our right.
The Brighton defender did really well to put him off, but a player of Paquetá's quality should do so much better on his favoured left foot there. The really good ball by Kudus down the left-hand side. Emerson cuts it back to him. He's 13, 14 yards out, and that bit of quality or lack of quality probably sums up the first half in this game. I'm still waiting for the ball to land behind the goal in the second tier, I think.
Well, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had Verbruggen saving at his near post from Bowen quite early on, and then we had the Fabianski save from Matoma at the other end, and here is Matoma, in fact, midway through the West Ham half, who gently rolls the ball out towards Veltman on the far side. Swindon Town have increased their lead at home to Grimsby 2-0 at the county ground. Matoma with a cross from the right, caught by Fabianski.
It's tame. It's very tame again in the final third. No real quality. Matoma again gets himself in a good position, but then he looks up and he doesn't see any blue and white striped shirts in the box. Nobody busting a gut to get in the box to get on the end of a cross. It's all very tame. Let's hope the boxing isn't the same tonight, because this is a bit tame.
Well, if it is as tame as this, it'll go the distance. It'll go to points. And in a minute, these two are going to be sharing the spoils. And producer Rob has confirmed that just one shot on target each so far as Kudos tries to go on the outside, but Veltman goes to ground. Two former Ajax players in a good tussle on that far side, and West Ham United, with 4 minutes to go to half-time, get a corner kick. Very little in open play. So if there is to be a goal, let's see what they can muster from a set piece.
Well, that's the favourite way of getting goals, West Ham, isn't it? You know, we say so often about set plays. 16th West Ham rated for goals scored in open play.
Good homework. Corner kick. Emerson to take it, far side the left, comes out to this near side where Bowen will collect it just in from the right touchline, gets away from Ruter goes to ground, Bowen accelerates towards the byline, and the sliding challenge came in from Matoma, but the assistant referee had a good view of that, and I would say that the last touch did come off Jared Bowen, even though the supporters away towards our left said get away as it went behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, I can finish off my homework now if you want. 16th for goals scored, only 21 behind Palace, Ipswich, Everton and Southampton. Second lowest in open play, 12 out of 21, only 57% of the goals in open play.
Next time I'm doing a game with you, I'll just call you up and ask for the stats. Could save me hours of prep. We'll go to Ipswich, Chris Coles.
Newcastle still dominating, still leading 2-0 and should be 3-0. Alex Isak with another great opportunity just inside the box. Right foot shot that Muric just got to. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 2.
0-0 here. Remember, Nottingham Forest are leading at Brentford by a goal to 0. Brentford, who have the best home record in the top flight, 22 points out of a possible 24. However, they go into that game with back-to-back defeats in all competitions. The bandaged Van Hecker lifts it long, headed away then by Kilman at the West Ham defence. Emerson picks it up, coming back into the side after suspension, and Ruter will get a throw for Brighton and Hove Albion on that far side, the right, that Gruder is happy just to toss the ball to Veltman. And Veltman looks at his options. Gruder is one of them. A little bit further down is Jorginho Ruter. And here it is to the former Leeds United man who backs into his marker, tries to roll away from Kilman. Gruder is there. Soucek gets in the foot into the challenge. Emerson releases it towards Kudus. Picked up now on that far side, the left, over the halfway line. But Brighton still had a number of blue and white striped shirts back. as West Ham were awarded a free kick and taken very quickly.
One thing that Lopetegui will be pleased about his team today is how defensively sound that they've looked. We know how many goals that they've conceded this season. That has been their Achilles heel at times, but today defensively, going into the half-time, he'll be pleased with what he's seen from his team.
Here is FIFA, turnover in play though. Can Brighton take advantage of this? It's João Pedro, Estepinian, and he slips inside the penalty area. Just when he's had a little glance up to his right, thinking I'm going to play a left-footed ball into the inside left channel of the area, he slips just at the wrong moment for him.
Well, I thought I was going to put commentator's curse on the West Ham back four then. Really good play again by João Pedro. Estepinian just crosses over, and just as you think he's about to pull the trigger with his left foot, his right foot just gives way underneath him. That's one for too good, too bad.
Yeah. I'm not too sure when calendar year statistics started being provided, but you talk about West Ham conceding goals rather than just in seasons, but they've conceded 73 in the Premier League in 2024. Only Wolves have conceded more, and just the one more in that calendar year so far. 0-0, 5 Live, the World Service, and we're about 30 seconds away from finding out how much the fourth official is going to raise on his electronic board, and I'm reliably informed that we will see 4 minutes being put up very, very soon. That bright red digit as a pocket of blue sky with just a shade of pink on the edges starts to appear above the London Stadium. It was wet and windy earlier on. 0-0. Nice turn by Jorginho Ruta. Edge of the D, looks for a shooting opportunity. Left-footed, blocked by Alvarez, comes out towards Baleva. And then he runs away from Paquetá, who's on a yellow card, remember. There is the 4 minutes now going up, as here is Gruder. Right corner of the box, Brighton in that final third, looking to try and get past West Ham, but as Paul Robinson quite rightly says, you know, they have defended well. You can't really recall them being stretched. And even when they did get that shot away, their only effort on target, Brighton, the save that Fabianski made from Matoma, they were having to be patient then. Here is FIFA, inside to Pedro, runs forward, running though hard, closing him down. There is at least 2, maybe even 3 claret and sky blue shirts, almost like a little bit of a scrummage down there on the edge of the penalty area, and the referee has actually said there was a foul from João Pedro, and it will be a free kick to West Ham United, as there's been another goal at Portman Road. Chris Coles.
A third for Newcastle and a second for Alexander Isak, and this is a mess at the back for Ipswich, trying to play it out. Muric into Cayuste's feet, didn't see Bruno Guimaraes right behind him, easily dispossessed him. Isak slides it into the corner. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 3.
He's going through a good run of form, is Alexander Isak for Eddie Howe's side. Obviously they reached the semi-finals of the League Cup in midweek, but that means that he's into double figures. Is Alexander Isak with now 5 goals in 5 games as he moves to 10 for the season. 0-0 here. Exeter City have equalised at Burton Albion. It's 1-1 then in League One, as Estepinian in the central area gives it to Baleva, actually stands still, stationary for a moment, look to his left, look to his right, passes the ball now out to his right hand side where Brighton will attack, and Gruder has Veltman behind him on the overlap as he goes infield towards the right corner of the penalty area. The ball is played by Vifa to Veltman on that far side, and then Brighton play the ball back in stoppage time. 0-0.
I seem to remember listening to you 2 or 3 weeks ago. You had a game similar to this, didn't you, at Crystal Palace? At Crystal Palace Newcastle, where you had a first half like similar to this.
Yeah. In fact, Crystal Palace Newcastle was far worse.
Was it?
Yeah. In comparison, this has been all right. Estepinian with a cross, headed away. That's how bad it was at Selhurst Park that particular afternoon. Kudus was trying to get away, and in the end, he was being held and pulled back. And Veltman has been shown the yellow card, so he is the first Brighton player to be booked. It's the 3rd yellow card that we've had in this contest so far, but it's goalless.
He doesn't need to do it in that area, Veltman. Kudus is going nowhere. Kudus is just running out of his own 18-yard box. He's 5-10 yards outside of his own 18-yard box when Veltman brings him down. He's not stopping a counter-attack. Brighton have got far too many players back. Cost himself a yellow card there, Veltman.
Yeah, and puts himself under pressure if Kudus has got the opportunity to run at him for the rest of the game. The half-time scores are starting to come in on the video printer monitor just towards my left-hand side. We'll be handing back to Mark Chapman in Riyadh on 5 Live and Lee James on Sports World for the World Service. So you won't miss anything elsewhere. You'll get your full sporting picture, whichever station you're listening to. But in stoppage time here, there doesn't appear to be any sign of a goal, and a lot of the supporters think the same, because that sprinkling of white empty seats, there are now many that have been deserted as the supporters head for the concourse.
It's been a tough watch. I mean, to dissect it tactically, both teams have really cancelled each other out. They've allowed each other too much time and space and possession on the ball without actually, having that cutting edge. To put it very, very simply, the first half so far, I mean, we're coming to an end now, we've watched two teams that don't want to lose.
Yeah, Bowen with the interception, tried to thread a ball through to Kudos. Stepping out of defence was Van Hecker. He's able to carry the ball into the centre circle and over the halfway line. Passes the ball now towards Gruder. Gruder has Vifa going on ahead of him, rolls it to João Pedro, and then he's challenged. He just ran into a little bit of traffic inside that penalty area, and it was quickly snuffed out. MK Dons have got a goal back. Newport County 4, MK Dons 1, but it's half-time here at the London Stadium. West Ham United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0, and I would imagine that your summing up won't take too long.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about, is there? I mean, both had a weak shot each on target. They've cancelled each other out. They're both playing a very similar formation, a 4-2-3-1. The attacking options have been limited, and they've both been happy to let each other have possession in areas that wouldn't hurt the other one. Nobody's had that cutting edge. Nobody seems to want to put the ball at risk or make that final pass where they lose possession. It's been tame. It's been a poor first half. But both managers will have something that they can work on in the dressing room. They'll be in there saying, look, right, we've got a base to work on. We've got to be better. We've got to be more direct in these areas and look to press in these areas and hurt the opposition where we can. But at the moment, it's been a tough watch.
Thanks to Paul Robinson. Half-time, West Ham United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 0.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Paul. Earlier, Aston Villa beat Manchester City 2-1. There are only 3 o'clock games in the Premier League this afternoon, and Brentford's home record is under threat, John Southall.
Absolutely. Brentford's 0, Nottingham Forest 1. They grow into the half. Forest, the goal 7 minutes before half-time. Nico Williams with the assist to Ola Aina on the right of the area, and he swept it into the bottom left corner. Second Forest goal for Brentford. Sells denied Damsgaard. Wiesa also scooped one over the bar. Forest then worked their way into it. Flecken pushed Wood's header behind before Aina's goal. So as you say, this home record is under threat. Forest third as we stand. Brentford 0, Forest 1.
By contrast, Ipswich don't have a home win this season, and it doesn't look like it's going to come today. Chris Coles.
Based on a dominant first half for Newcastle, no. They lead 3-0. They couldn't have wished for a more dominant half. Ahead inside a minute, Isak's shot too powerful for Muric. Survived a lengthy VAR check. Murphy got the second, firing in off the underside of the bar from Gordon's pass. And Isak again with a gift of a third after Ipswich gave it away inside their box. There's a sizable Liam Delap-shaped hole up front for Ipswich. No focal point, struggling to keep hold of the ball, and Newcastle in total control. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 3.
Interesting scores in the early games in the Championship. Hull, who began the day bottom of the table, beat Swansea 2-1. Portsmouth thrashed Coventry 4-1. Callum Lang got all 4 goals there for John Mousinho's side. Sheffield Wednesday down to 10 in the first half, still beat Stoke 2-0. The wins for Hull and Portsmouth took them both out of the bottom 3 going into the 3 o'clock games. Let's start our roundup of those at Ellen Road. Leeds against Oxford, Lee Blakeman.
Leeds 1, Oxford United 0. The goal came inside the first 10 minutes. Manuel Solomon with a low cross from the left. Dan James sliding into finish at the back post. Tanaka and Pirro have had chances too. Jamie Cumming making a couple of decent saves to keep Leeds at bay. Oxford United's new manager Gary Rowett watching from the stands and hasn't seen his new team have an effort on target yet. Leeds 1, Oxford United 0.
No, and as things stand, they are dropping to the bottom of the table, or Oxford, and that's because Plymouth are beating Middlesbrough. We'll go there shortly. Cardiff would be next to bottom at the end of the day if everything stays as is. They're at home to Sheffield United. The leaders, Molly Stevens.
Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 0. Chris Wilder will be wondering how on earth they aren't leading Cardiff. Brilliant chances, notably from Tom Davis and Gus Harmer, but the table toppers not clinical enough in taking them. Their huge spells dominating possession have come to nothing. Cardiff have had glimpses in front of goal, but still goalless. Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 0.
Let's get details of Plymouth's lead at the break from Hamish Marshall.
Yes, 1-0. They're off the bottom and out of the relegation places as it stands, and they're leading for the first time in a game since November the 5th, courtesy of Lewis Gibson's header. The impressive Mustafa Bundu almost made it too, but he was denied by Borough keeper Saul Bryn in added time. Michael Carrick's side have failed to give cheer to their fans who're on their longest trip of the season.
Two sides with decent unbeaten records next, although Watford's looks like it's going to go. Katie Smith.
Yeah, because Burnley have been really impressive. Burnley 1, Watford 0, taking the lead within 10 minutes. That was thanks to Jayden Anthony lashing it in on his right foot from the back post. Hannibal could have doubled their lead as well, pulled an effort wide from inside the D. They've been finding all sorts of little intricate passes, while Watford haven't really offered a huge amount. Burnley, I guess, just hoping now that Leeds will slip up in the second half. They can keep things the same here and they can sneak up into those top two spots. Burnley 1, Watford 0.
You look at the runs sides are on. Sunderland lost just one of their last 14. Norwich won just 2 of their last 12. So wouldn't you know it, John Bennett?
Yeah, we didn't see this one coming. Sunderland 0, Norwich City 1. Sunderland's promotion push in danger of being damaged here. They've been really poor in the final third. Meanwhile, the Championship's second top scorers, Norwich, took the lead when a Carlos Sainz cross wasn't cleared and Anis Ben Slimani slammed it in from inside the 6-yard box. Big improvement needed for Sunderland. Sunderland 0, Norwich 1.
Elsewhere in the Championship, Millwall 0, Blackburn 0, and it's QPR who were unbeaten in their last 6 0. Preston 1, and Milutin Osmaic has got that 7 for the season for him. Let's go into the Scottish Premiership. Rangers against Dundee. Ailey Barber.
Rangers dominated the first half. They'll wonder how they aren't ahead. The crossbar twice coming to the rescue of the visitors, denying Hadji's ferocious strike and then stopping a free kick from Tavernier. Dundee keeper Carson also had to get down quickly to his right to deny Cherney. The visitors, they've tried to find something on the break, but it's been a very comfortable debut for Rangers keeper Liam Kelly. He was drafted into the lineup minutes before kick-off after Jack Butland pulled out. And at half-time here, at a very cold Ibrox, it is Rangers 0, Dundee 0.
Elsewhere, it's turning into a good afternoon for Celtic because Aberdeen are behind as well. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2. In the other game in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon, Ross County 0, St Mirren 1. In League 1 earlier, late equaliser for Bristol Rovers at home to Wrexham. That finished 1-1. Lincoln, who hadn't won in their last 7, got a much-needed 3 points at home to 10-man Reading. They beat them by 2-0. Into the 3 o'clock games at Oakwell, maybe a surprise here. Leyton Orient in the bottom half of the table, although they have lost just one of their last 6. They lead at Oakwell by 2-0. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 2. It's Blackpool 0, Stevenage 0. Billy Bowden's 4th of the season, putting Gary Bowyer's side ahead. He's taken over the club. And Josh McGuinness is 7th of the season, equalising on the stroke of half-time for Gary Caldwell's side. Mansfield 1, Rotherham 0. Great first half for Nathan Jones' Charlton. They lead at Northampton by 3-0. And it's Wigan 1, Shrewsbury 0. Wigan's Thilo Asgard is their top scorer. He scored again this afternoon. That's his 9th of the season. Into League 2, Barrow ended their long run without a win by beating Fleetwood 2-0 earlier. Finished Doncaster 3, Tranmere 1, and Tranmere reduced to 10 in that game. We're with the leaders Walsall. They're at Harrogate. Adam Cottier.
And they lead by 1-0. Nathan Lowe scoring his 13th goal of the season, his 10th in League 2 in this campaign. He's 19 years old, on loan from Stoke. A brilliant right foot shot from outside the box into the corner. It was really well struck, but then Harrogate reduced to 10 men before the break. Josh March given his marching orders after picking up a second yellow card. He seemed to put his hand in the face of Walsall's left back Taylor Allen. It's Harrogate 0, Walsall 1.
Let's go to second place Port Vale at home to bottom of the table Carlisle. Shojo Saka.
Port Vale 0, Carlisle 0. Bottom of the table Carlisle, much the better side so far. Luke Armstrong has had the ball in the net for them early on. That was ruled out for a foul on the keeper. Jordan Jones buzzing around everywhere. He's gone close too. Ethan Chislett had the best chance for Port Vale on the break. Excellently saved by Gabe Breeze in the Carlisle goal. Port Vale, for a side chasing promotion, really must do better at home. Port Vale 0, Carlisle 0.
Elsewhere in League 2, it's goalless between Accrington Stanley and Salford. Chesterfield, who've won 3 of their last 4, lead AFC Wimbledon by a 1-0 at the break. Morecambe 0, Bromley 1. Great first half for Newport. They lead MK Dons 4-1. Bryn Morris has hit a hat-trick there for Newport, one of them from the penalty spot. Notts County scored 3 in 4 minutes at home to Bradford. 2 for their top scorer, Alassana Jatta, so 12 for the season for him, and David McGoldrick picked up his 8th of the season. And Swindon, with Ian Holloway celebrating 1,000 games in management, lead Grimsby by 2-0 at the break. Let's just go back to the Scottish Premiership. Details of Hibs' lead at Pittodrie at the break from Gavin Wallace.
Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2 indeed, Mark. This fixture conjured up 13 goals last season, and we've had another 3. Our Christmas wish has been granted. Topi Keskinen on 14. It was a great individual effort down that left-hand side. He cuts in and just dispatches into the bottom right-hand corner of the Hibs goalkeeper. He's got no chance. Hibs, though, to be fair, they've been dangerous and they've taken their chances. That's the big one. It came on 18, their first one. Martin Boyle exposing a high line, bolted down that right hand side. He finds Ellie Ewan, who's all on his own, to tap home to equalise, and then 10 minutes later Nicky Cadden with a rocket, albeit inside the box. He's got the freedom of Aberdeen as a corner comes in and he gets his foot right over the top of it. It could be, if it stays like this, the first time this season Hibs could be back-to-back victories. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 2.
Elsewhere in Scotland in the Championship, Adrionians 0, Partick 2, Falkirk 0, Hamilton 0, Livingston 0, Ayr 1, and Morton lead Dunfermline by a 0-0. In League 1, Annan 0, Arbroath 3, Cove Rangers 1, Alloa 0. Goalless between Kelty Hearts and Queen of the South, and Stenhouse Muir and Inverness. It's Montrose 0, Dumbarton 1. And in League 2, Clyde 1, Forfar 0, East Fife 2, Spartans 0. And then the other 3 games are goalless. Edinburgh City against Elgin, Peterhead against Bonnyrigg Rose, who are down to 10, and Stirling versus Stranraer. Let me give you the half-times in the National League back in England. Barnet 1, Halifax 1, Braintree 0, Oldham 1, Eastleigh 1, Maidenhead 0, Ebbsfleet 0, Gateshead 2, Forest Green Rovers 0, Aldershot 1, goalless between Hartlepool and Yeovil, Solihull Moors 2, AFC Fylde 1, Sutton 1, Tamworth 0, Wealdstone 2, Dagenham and Redbridge 0, Woking 0, Altrincham 0, and York 0, Southend 0. And just one other half-time to give you, and it's in the Gallagher Premiership in Rugby Union. Very, very good first half for Bristol at Welford Road. Leicester 12, Bristol 40. Second half on the way from the London Stadium, where it's goalless between West Ham and Brighton after Fraser Dainton and the news.
The voice of the UK. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Mark. Good afternoon. The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has asked his country to stay united after an attack on a Christmas market in the city of Magdeburg, which killed 5 people. A car got through a gap in security barriers and rammed into crowds at high speed. Police have arrested a 50-year-old man who migrated to Germany from Saudi Arabia 18 years ago. There's further coverage of this story on the BBC News channel and website, and we'll have an extended bulletin here on 5 Live at 6:15. Wildlife campaigner Chris Packham has resigned as president of the RSPCA, saying it had failed to deal with allegations of animal cruelty at its approved abattoirs. He said the charity's leadership displayed complete hypocrisy and hadn't addressed concerns. The RSPCA rejected the claims and said it took animal welfare extremely seriously. And the government helpline for people trying to claim pension credit before tonight's deadline has now closed. If pensioners want to get a winter fuel payment this year, they'll need to apply for the benefit before midnight.
It's the 2 greatest fighters in the world right now.
One thing is true grit.
What an achievement, what a fighter. The rematch is a big fight. A man who's 6'9", 260 pounds can never be easy.
You showed what a fighter's heart he has.
Fury versus Usyk, the rematch. Tonight at 9 p.m. on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Plus you can hear previews and the build-up to the fight with daily episodes of 5 Live Boxing with me, Steve Bunce, on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman. Listen on BBC Sounds.
More reaction from the early game in the Premier League. Just 1 win in 12 for Manchester City as they were beaten 2-1 at Aston Villa. But Unai Emery's side now back to winning ways after that defeat at Forest last time out.
We played 90 minutes more or less in the way we were expecting. We started in transition scoring 1 goal. We had some corners as well and chances to score. And then progressively the first half they were imposing, dominating the match. They were pushing us, defending very low, more than we wanted. And they created 1 or 2 chances and we saved it through Emiliano Martinez. And then the second half we started again dominating more than the first half, not only in transition, even when we were keeping ball possession, we were avoiding their press. And in the second half, I think we played better. Like I want here to try to impose and dominate with the positioning. Of course, against Manchester City it's been very difficult, and the first half happened it. But the second half, I think more or less we were playing and getting confidence to dominate, to play keeping ball possession, and as well creating chances and avoiding their chances, because I think the second half progressively we impose and we deserved to win through our domination of them.
Unai Emery, you can see all the goals match of the day, 10:30 tonight on BBC One, on what is a big night of sport. All the build-up here in Riyadh to Usyk Fury from 9 o'clock. And we're expecting the ring walk around 10 o'clock. We've got Luke Littler in the darts as well tonight. We'll go to James Gregg in just a moment. But first, an early goal in the second half at the Stadium of Light. John Bennett.
Perfect start to the second half for Sunderland. Sunderland 1, Norwich City 1. Cross from the right-hand side. And Dan Ballard was there. Close range header. Sunderland 1, Norwich 1.
So James Gregg at Ali Pali gearing up for Luke Littler later.
Yeah, the afternoon session nearly done here, Mark. Wins for Welshman Rhys Griffin, Alexis Toyo from the Philippines, and Brendan Dolan, who got to the last 8 here last year. Chris Dobie on stage right now. He was a last 8 player as well last year against the Dutchman Alex Merckx. He took the first set 3-0. He took the second set 3-0. He's now gunning to book his spot back here after Christmas.
Thank you, James. More from James throughout the course of the evening. Back to the London Stadium, where I think Paul and Ian would like a little bit better in the second half.
Well, just a smidgen. Not asking for too much, is it, just before Christmas?
No, I mean, I'm observing the grass that's grown in the 6-yard box to me right. I think the one in the grass in the right-hand 6-yard box has grown a bit more than the left-hand one.
West Ham have made a change, incidentally, at the start of the second half. Konstantinos Mavropanos has gone off, and Jean-Claire Todibo has come on to replace him at the heart of the West Ham United defence. So Fabianski in goal, a back four of Wan-Bissaka, Todibo, Kilman and Emerson, Alvarez, Souček, Kudus, Bowen, Paquetá and Fulkrug. West Ham United in their claret and sky blue shirts and white shorts, playing in the second half from right to left against a Brighton and Hove Albion side in their white and royal blue striped shirts and royal blue shorts, who are unchanged. They have Verbruggen in goal, Veltman, Van Hecke, Duncan, Estepinian as the defence, Vifa and Belabor in the centre of midfield, Matoma on the left, Gruder on the right, Jorginho Ruta in behind João Pedro, and so they're attacking the end where the supporters, the away supporters, are away towards our right. And here is Ruta, saw a little gap, darted into it, gets the little pullback, and the attempted clearance from Todibo has struck the back of João Pedro and then rebounds behind and out of play. It goes for a goal kick. Ross County are level in the Scottish Premiership early in the second half. Ross County 1, St Mirren 1, and Newport County have got a 5th goal at home to MK Dons. So Newport County 5, MK Dons 1. That's the latest score in League 2 as West Ham United play the goal kick short, and the ball is hit long and then headed out of play for a throw.
That's twice Todibo's given it away. Just come on now as a half-time substitute for Mavropanos. Todibo is going to have to adapt to the speed of the game quicker than that. He's almost conceded a corner and he's just given possession away. Can only be an injury to Mavropanos, because we spoke about the West Ham defence. That was one of the positive things that Julian Lopetegui would have taken in to half-time, the way that his team had defended, the blocks that they'd got in. And with Mavropanos and Kilman seemingly striking up an understanding, he wouldn't have wanted to break that partnership up.
There is an ominous cloud that hovers now over the London Stadium. Accrington Stanley 0, Salford City 1 is the latest score in League 2. As Belabor shows strength, keeps his balance over the halfway line from the challenge of Paquetá, plays it forward. Pedro is onto this, inside left channel of the penalty area, looks for the angle. Kilman, though, will usher him out of the penalty box on that far side, the Brighton left, and Pedro jogging back level with the area, still the ball at his feet for those bright orange boots, delivers the cross. Emerson, the left back, is tucked in, heads it away. Vifa plays it back outside towards Gruder, and Gruder then just had his heels clipped by Emerson, and Brighton get a free kick. But before we'll take that free kick, we'll hear news of another goal at Brentford. John Southall.
Nottingham Forest have a second. Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Lewis Potter gave the ball away on the right hand side to Anthony Elanga, and he swept it into the bottom left hand corner. What about this? Brentford 0, Forest 2.
We'll be going to Home Park for news of a Middlesbrough equaliser. I can tell you Rangers lead Dundee by a goal to 0 as well, and Hibs have just gone 3-1 up at Pittodrie against Aberdeen. But in the commentary game here on 5 Live in the World Service, and also available through the BBC Sounds app, Brighton and Hove Albion with their away support, with a chant of Albion, Albion. Wait to see what Rajan Gruder will deliver on this right-hand side. The right arm goes aloft. He runs up now, left-footed, delivers the ball towards the far post. Matoma is there, and it will go out of play for a corner kick. We'll get news of that Middlesbrough goal first from Hamish Marshall.
Perfect start to the second half for Borough. 5 minutes in, Johnny House in a captain's goal. Drive from about 18 yards out, just inside the penalty area. It's Plymouth 1, Middlesbrough 1.
Surely Plymouth couldn't lose a 5th game on the spin at Home Park, as Brighton and Hove Albion wait to take this corner kick on that far side. Gruder's gone actually across to take it. This should be an outswinger, lining up in single file. Now they break the Brighton players. In it comes. Kilman partially heads it away. Paquetá gets his head onto it. Out of the box he goes. Bowen was checked, and will actually get a free kick for that by the referee from Rob Jones. So let's get news of that goal with Rangers at Ibrox with Ailey Barber.
Perfect start to the second half. Route 1 from Rangers, ball right over the top. Václav Černý beats the offside trap. He keeps his composure, he slots it past Carson. It's Rangers 1, Dundee 0.
QPR unbeaten in 6, have equalised at home to Preston North End in the Championship. QPR 1, Preston North End 1. Leyton Orient have got a 3rd goal at Oakwell. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 3 is the latest score in League 1. You're up to date as we go back with Brighton watching the ball towards Verbruggen, who clears it, a flat ball downfield. Pedro unable to control it, but it runs off the legs of Matoma, kindly towards Baleba, hits the ball over the top. João Pedro is the one that has made the run into space, left-hand side of the penalty area. West Ham's defence seems slow to respond, and it was cut out then by Kilman behind for a corner.
They've certainly started the second half of brighter, the two teams of Brighton. Baleba, that's 2 wonderful balls he's played over the top into the path of João Pedro. Timed his run perfectly on both occasions.
Corner taken short and taken quickly. Pedro in towards Gruder. Gruder, left-hand side of the penalty area. Emerson clears it away. A little bit off balance, only as far as Estepinian. His cross from the left-hand side. Dunker stayed forward, challenges Fabianski. The ball is put in, and the flag stays down. And Vifa was the one to react with his first goal for Brighton Hove Albion, who lead by a goal to 0. The West Ham protest surround the referee, Rob Jones. Brighton celebrate, 1-0.
Well, we certainly will be having a VAR check. Rob Jones is surrounded by claret and blue shirts. It was a ball to the back post, and it was Lewis Dunk who had a free header, headed it back across the 18-yard box into Vifa's path. Still had a lot to do, took it on the volley, and he tucked it so calmly into the bottom of Lucas Fabianski's bottom left-hand corner. All the Brighton players are convinced that this is going to stand. They've gone to retake the centre, they've gone to their own half to reset. The ball to the back post of Dunk. Dunk collides with Fabianski. The West Ham players, 1, they're looking for offside on Dunk, and 2, they're looking for a foul on their goalkeeper by Lewis Dunk. They collide together. It would be harsh if it was given as a foul. It's an excellent finish by Vifa. It's a lovely ball in by Estepinian with his left foot. Dunk wins the header in front of the goalkeeper, and it's tucked away by Vifa. They are checking for offside.
I'm conscious that you might still be a paid member of the Goalkeepers Union.
I'm not. I've told you I'm not. Chappers gives me stick for this every week.
But if you were Fabianski, how would you feel at that with that challenge?
I'd want a free kick. Watching that, I'm not giving you a free kick because it's soft. It should be stronger. And the same as Bayinda and Manchester United with Tottenham in midweek. Yes, I can see there was some kind of infringement, but we're now seeing the offside. Looks like Ruta in the middle of the pitch was offside. It's going to be very, very, very close, this, on Lewis Dunk. This is the matter of a shoulder or an arm. I don't think it was a foul on the goalkeeper. I think it might be offside. It's going to be very close.
Yeah, well, in fact, it is so close that we've seen the green line, so it will be onside. I think Todibo is the player playing Dunk on, as now they will look for the challenge now that they've established it's onside. The goal stands. The goal stands, and Brighton have the lead. 7 minutes into the second half. Mats Vifa with his first goal for the club.
Take everything away from that apart from the move. The ball from Estepinian was fantastic. The header back across goal from Lewis Duncan, the challenge was perfect. And the finish from Vifa on his right foot, tucked into the bottom left-hand corner on the volley. A really well-worked move by Brighton.
And Brighton Hove Albion have now scored in 15 successive games. In fact, they failed to score just once now in 20 in all competitions since Fabian Herzler took charge, and that was against Ipswich, a 0-0 draw back in mid-September. So Brighton lead by a goal to nil. 5 Live, the World Service and BBC Sounds. And certainly Brighton have come out much the better of the two teams since the restart. They've shown a little bit more initiative. João Pedro goes to the ground, no free kicks as the referee. And West Ham United are going to have to respond. And when they've conceded first this season, they are yet to win. They've drawn 2 and lost 6. Where will we go next on 5 Live? And news of the goal at Aberdeen. That third goal for Hibs from Gavin Wallace.
Ian, it's Aberdeen's nightmare before Christmas. Triantis picks it up in the middle of the park, some poor clearance, finds Martin Boyle on the right-hand side. He cuts in and puts it the wrong side of the goalkeeper, right across him. It is Aberdeen 1, Hibernian 3.
Another goal at Ipswich, Chris Coles.
And another goal for Alexander Isak, who now has a hat-trick. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4. Newcastle making their slow progress into the Ipswich box. Murphy, far too easy for him. It breaks to Isak, he slides it into the corner. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 4.
That'll be his first hat-trick in a Newcastle United shirt for Alexander Isak. 4-0 at Portman Road. Vifa, the goal scorer, is down here on BBC Radio 5 Live.
He looks a little bit uncomfortable as well. He's surrounded by the physio and the doctor. Went down in the midfield, under no challenge. Just a long break in play now while the doctor and the physio assess him.
Let's get news of that other goal then at Oakwell for Leyton Orient. Steve Wyeth.
Charlie Kelman, leading scorer in the league, his 5th of the campaign, has extended the Leyton Orient advantage. Jamie Donnelly's through ball and he just lifted it over the advancing goalkeeper. It is a goal and 2 assists for Donnelly, who is on loan from Tottenham. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 3.
And Brighton and Newcastle United looking to climb up the table with the leads that they currently have. Newcastle is far more handsome at Ipswich than the Brighton one here. But Vifa doesn't look like he's in a position to continue. Swindon Town 3, Grimsby Town 0. Scott Tanser has been sent off for St Mirren in the Scottish Premiership. They're currently drawing 1-1 away at Ross County. Goal in the Championship at Ellen Road, Lee Blakeman.
Leeds have got a second, Leeds 2, Oxford United 0. Really good move down the right. Jayden Bogle moved into the area, hard finish, low across goal into the bottom corner to make it Leeds 2, Oxford United 0.
West Ham looking for an equaliser. It runs out and Van Hecke should clear for Brighton and does indeed do so up towards the halfway line. Update from Brentford. Any sign of a fight back from Brentford? John Southall.
Well, here they come now with Ben Mee into the penalty area, cleared away by Forest. Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2, could have been 3. Alanga into the penalty area, saved by Flecken. Forest lead Brentford by 2-0.
They've been temporarily down to 10 men, but Vifa, the goal scorer, who's been off the field of play, has now been replaced by Yasin Ayari, the young Swedish midfielder who comes on for Brighton and Hove Albion, and Somerville is going to be coming on very soon for West Ham United. Let's get an update from the darts with James Gregg and Ali Pally.
Chris Dobie from Northumberland with a 3-1 win over the Dutchman Alexander Merckx books his spot in round 3 after Christmas. That's it for the afternoon session, Deno. Luke the New Cup this evening.
And other regular updates throughout 5 Live, where later on we'll have the big fight. Coverage starts at 9 o'clock, live from Riyadh. Alexander Usyk against Tyson Fury on BBC Radio 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Somerville is on, and it is Fulkrug who has gone off. So his first Premier League start didn't really have a great deal of service, did he?
No, not really. Didn't have a lot of service, and that's what he thrives on. He's a similar type of striker to Chris Wood, to put that into perspective. He wants balls into the box, he wants delivery, he wants service. He's had to work very, very hard this afternoon without getting any type of service. But that does lead to not so much as a shape change. It leads to Jared Bowen going back to where he's played the last 2 games for West Ham as that out-and-out number 9, and Crescencio Somerville will play on this left-hand side.
Well, since Brighton returned to the top flight in 17-18, they've lost just 1 of 14 league encounters against West Ham United. They've won 2 and drawn 5 in their previous 7 visits to the London Stadium. Fortune always hiding, as they sing in the West Ham song of I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. Certainly is, when you consider their form here at home. But Bowen picks up on a loose ball now, runs to the edge of the area. Bowen with a shot, beaten out, rebound, headed in. Kudos with the equaliser from close range, couldn't miss. And just before the hour, West Ham United are back level, 1-1.
Well, it's Jared Bowen again. Jared Bowen's at the heart of absolutely everything. It's a turnover of possession for West Ham in the middle of the park. Brighton lose the ball, and it's Thomas Souček. He plays the ball inadvertently. It's his first touch. It's almost a big first touch that lets him down into the path of Jared Bowen. And when he gets the sniff, all he's going to do is run at the back 4. And that's what he does. It opens up in front of him. He takes on the 2 Brighton defenders, Van Hacke and Dunk. They can't touch him, and he gets into a position where he can shoot Jared Bowen. And he gets the shot away. It's a decent strike. But Bruggen does well, but not well enough. He gets 2 hands on it, but instead of palming it away from the danger, he palms it into the ground, into his 6-yard box. And Kudus is arriving to head home and make it 1-1.
3rd goal of the season. And West Ham back level at 1-1. And we've had 2 goals in 7 minutes. And the second half is certainly a vast improvement on the first 45 minutes that we witnessed. Another update from Brentford, John Southall.
Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2 as the corner comes over from Brentford. They're pushing for a goal here. Ayer 8 yards out, shot into the ground. Brilliant save by Sells to push it over. Brentford 0, Forest 2.
Ipswich Town 0, Newcastle United 4 is the latest score. Soon we'll be getting the team news from our next commentary. 5:30, Crystal Palace against Arsenal. John Murray and Mark Schwarzer will bring you that game from Selhurst Park. The second of 7 games on the 5 Live network this weekend. Tomorrow is going to be extremely busy, where we start Everton against Chelsea on 5 Live at 2. Manchester United Bournemouth will be on Sports Extra. Fulham Southampton, Leicester Wolves both on the website. Spurs Liverpool at 4:30. But 1-1 here, and both sides showing more of a willingness, more adventure to try and be proactive in this second period.
Well, it's come to life. Maybe they played our radio commentary in the dressing room in the first half and said that we're watching 2 teams who would prefer not to lose than win a game. Now all of a sudden we've got 2 teams going hammer and tongue at it, wanting to win a game. It's really opened up.
If they'd have done that, Paul, they'd be asleep. Here is Kudus, who turns. Shot blocked by Van Hecke, still on the edge of the area. Snapshot from Paquetá. Couldn't strike it cleanly enough. And Dunk is the one who clears the ball away. But it's certainly livened up now. There's much more intensity about the game, and as a result, the atmosphere has improved too. Burnley were leading Watford by a goal to 0. Another goal at Turf Moor in the Championship, Katie Smith.
They've doubled their lead. Burnley 2, Watford 0, and it's come to captain, top scorer Josh Brownhill, an 8th of the season. A gorgeous shot from the edge of the area. His left foot lashes it home. Burnley 2, Watford 0.
So Burnley 3rd are leading, Leeds United 2nd are leading. I was about to say that Sheffield United at Cardiff, there hadn't been a goal. However, there has now. Molly Stevens.
Oh, and what a goal it is, Ian. Off a volley, off his left foot. Kiefer Moore, the former Cardiff player, put Sheffield United 1-0 up. Game on here. Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 1.
So the team who are in danger of missing out at the top of the Championship is Sunderland. They've only lost 1 of their last 14, but are being held by Norwich City 1-1. Brighton are attacking. We're 1-1 here at the London Stadium. Gruder, right corner of the area, waits, flicks it back. Beltman delivers the cross, comes off a West Ham head. It's going to be kept alive on that far side by Matoma. His cross, touched there by Fabianski, helped further away. And Beltman tries to keep the ball under control, plays it down the line on this near side, the right. Gruder tries to go in between 2 West Ham players, but there was Emerson, the left back, and eventually Alvarez will play it back to Emerson, and they've dealt with that situation, West Ham. Back to Rangers and Ailey Barber.
Well, Rangers thought they had doubled their lead. Yanis Hadji scampering clear. He squeezed the ball under Trevor Carson into the net, but the flag went up. VAR confirmed he was offside. No goal. It's still Rangers 1, Dundee 0.
62 minutes played here on 5 Live. Here is Somerville, the substitute operating on the left-hand side. They lose the ball up towards Ruta, cut out by Alvarez. Likes to drop back, doesn't he? Alvarez, that defensive midfielder. But Brighton have it with Van Hecker at their heart of their defence.
So much better, sharper all over the pitch from both teams. João Pedro dropping into really dangerous positions.
Ball played through the middle, looking for the run of Estepinian. Fabianski is there, dives forward. Let's get the team news from Selhurst Park. John Murray.
Well, Palace makes 3 changes from the Cup at Arsenal on Wednesday. Eza's out injured. Chalobah and Kapora are on the bench. So Kamada, Klein and Richards come in. Munoz is again suspended. And for Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus' reward for his Cup hat-trick against Palace is a place in the Premier League team. They make 7 changes from midweek, 2 from last weekend in the league, and they are Jesus and Partey in for Rice and Marino, who are both substitutes, as is the returning Calafiori for Arsenal.
And Mark Schwarzer will be alongside John at Selhurst Park, and they'll be with us live after Sports Report on BBC Radio 5 Live, the home of the Premier League. 1-1 at the London Stadium. Wan-Bissaka far side the right, gets it back from Paquetá. Then stepping out of defence was Estepinian, cleared though on the full by Todibo. Brighton, they will get a free kick for that foul on Estepinian. Hasn't it improved?
So much better, so much forward thinking and intent from both sides. Kudus moving over to the right-hand side, Somerville playing on the left-hand side. I think the big change for West Ham has been the impact that Jarrod Bowen's had just by moving him infield and moving him into that false 9 position. That's how they've played the last 2 games. And no disrespect to Nicholas Fulkrug, because when I saw him in the lineup, I was looking forward to seeing him play, and I do think they played a different way, but they are so much better with Jarrod Bowen occupying that number 9 position.
A misplaced pass, tried to be kept alive by Matoma. He did keep the ball in play, but actually only presented it to Kudus, who's running forward, still midway through his own half, and then he's knocked to the ground, and the ball will be with a West Ham United free kick on that far side, the right. Shrewsbury Town have got a goal back at Wigan. Wigan Athletic 2, Shrewsbury 1 is the latest score in League One. We're approaching 65 minutes here at the London Stadium, and, well, nobody, it seemed, wanted to win it in the first half. Now either side could win it in this second half.
There's just been a real noticeable increase in tempo and forward thinking. I think the first thought for every player that received the ball in the first half was to recycle possession, to go backwards, to go sideways. Now the first thought of every individual that gets the ball is either a forward pass or a forward movement with the ball.
Another goal at Ellen Road, Lee Blakeman.
Another one for Leeds. Leeds 3, Oxford United 0. Straight down the middle this time. Nice ball picked out Brendan Aronson. Easy finish. 3 goals, 3 points, 9 wins out of 9 at home for Leeds. Leeds 3, Oxford United 0.
In around 10 minutes time, we'll be going through all the divisions with all the latest scores as we near Sports Report. Northampton 0, Charlton 4 is the latest score in League One. Brighton are attacking far side, acceleration from Matoma on that left-hand side, goes to ground, told to get up by the referee Rob Jones, and West Ham United bring the ball away. Wan-Bissaka collects it on the corner of his own area, which showed too much to João Pedro, who nicks it back off him, darts forward to the byline with a cutback, partially cleared by West Ham, kept alive. Gruder, good save by Fabianski, pushes the ball out wide to his right and turned behind for a corner kick to Brighton.
And that's a really good save by Fabianski down to his right-hand side. It's a shot from the edge of the box with a side foot. It's Yari who gets the strike in. It takes a little deflection just in front of Fabianski, which makes it difficult for the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's already going down to his right-hand side, so he has to alter his body shape ever so slightly while the ball's in flight. Makes an excellent save, Fabianski.
Was a very, very good save. He was agile. Swindon Town 3, Grimsby Town 1. Grimsby have a goal back at the county ground in League 2. So, Brighton and Hove Albion, far side the left, playing from left to right as we look. Have a corner kick, which is going to be rolled to Estepinian. Lapse of concentration, goes underneath his foot, and then his cross is blocked, and it goes out of play for a Brighton throw.
Similar position there, Estepinian, for the Brighton goal, the ball that he put in. He doesn't have to think twice about putting a cross in, gets it out of his feet with his left foot. His delivery is normally excellent. That time his first touch had let him down.
Brighton, though, ball played in by Belieber. Dunker's stayed forward, just couldn't get in front of Max Kilman, and it goes out of play. And there's going to be a triple change being made by Brighton and Hove Albion. So we're going to be seeing Minte coming on. We're going to see Enciso and Lamptey. But before that changes happen, they go to the Stadium of Light, John Bennett.
It's Sunderland 1, Norwich 1, but Norwich down to 10 men, the 9th booking of the game, and it's Jose Cordoba's 2nd of the game, so he's been shown a red card. Sunderland 1, 10-man Norwich 1.
Well, like for like, Tarek Lamptey will replace Joel Veltman at right back. Minte has come on to replace Kruder in the midfield, and then the third change is going to be Julio Enciso, who's going to come on, and Jorginho Rutter is the player who goes off. Changes being made midway through the second half.
Yeah, I think the changes have been made. He's rung the change, but it does look like it's fresh legs. They look like for like changes. And Enciso for Rutter, who'll play in that number 10 role where Rutter's been playing. Minte comes on for Gruder on the right-hand side, and Lamptey a straight change for Veltman, who's been playing at right back anyway. He played there last week, so it is literally a like for like change, no shape change by Brighton.
They still do have a number of players missing. Webster, Welbeck, Cariolo, Hinchelwood, Milner, March. As the ball picked up by Enciso. Now looking to be released on this near right-hand side is an opportunity for Minte. Behind him is Lamptey. Lamptey's cross is an inviting one. Matoma tried to get on the end of it, edge of the area. Ayari couldn't get there. Todibo under pressure on the edge of his own box, but running back actually coped well and manages to roll the ball out towards that far side, and Kudus was being pulled to the ground. We're going back to Sunderland, where there's now been a goal. John Bennett.
Amazing noise here because Sunderland have taken the lead. Joe Bellingham with a brilliant goal, lovely turn inside the box and a curling finish. Sunderland 2, Norwich City 1.
It'll be a case of as you were, because the top four are all leading. However, there has just been another goal to Cardiff, where Sheffield United only had a slender lead, Molly Stevens.
Now they definitely don't. Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 2, and it's that man again, Kiefer Moore, the Wales striker, who's coming off as we speak. Another superb finish to give them the lead once more. Cardiff 0, Sheffield United 2.
Minte rolls it goalwards for Brighton, cut out by Souček, dropping inside his own 6-yard area. The League Two leaders, Walsall, unbeaten in 10, have got a second goal at Harrogate Town as Lamptey puts in an early cross from the right. João Pedro couldn't get there, won't drop to Enciso, tied it up with a header back towards Souček and gathered in by the arms of Fabianski. Another goal at Plymouth, Hamish Marshall.
It's Plymouth Argyle 2, Middlesbrough 1. Argyle retake the lead. Mustafa Bundu, the provider, on the right hand side. Darko Giabi from 6 yards makes it Plymouth 2, Middlesbrough 1.
The youngster Ollie Scarles is going to be coming on for West Ham United. Let's get news of that second Walsall goal from Adam Cottier.
It was scored by Albert Adoma, 37 years old. A lovely left foot shot low into the net from 6 yards out. It's 2-0 to Walsall here at Harrogate. It's
going to be a double change. Not only is Scarles going to be coming on, but Vladimir Sufal is also going to be coming on, Paul.
Yeah, he's changing his pack, shuffling his pack. Julian Lopetegui, you can see him down there. He's got the youngster Scarles and Kufal stood at the touchline just waiting to come on. There's a break in play. He's given his last instructions.
And he's dispensed with a jacket as well as the double change is about to happen. And we'll hear news of another goal at Ellen Road from Lee Blakeman.
Another one for Leeds. It's 4-0. Manor Solomon this time played in left side of the area. Powerful shot. Beat goalkeeper Jamie Cumming at his near post. Leeds are absolutely flying here. Leeds 4, Oxford United 0.
Newport County 5, MK Dons 2. So MK Dons have got a second goal in League 2 in South Wales. Paquetá is coming off, as is Emerson. That means that Sofal will go to right back. And at the minute, Scarles is the one who's playing at left back. Wan-Bissaka has stayed out wide on the right as well.
Looking like a back three, isn't it? Unless he's changing, going to push anybody forward. No, it looks like a back three at the moment. Sufal slotted in alongside Todibo and Kilman. Wan-Bissaka playing right wing back and Scarles playing on the left-hand side. So he's changed to a back three. They're out of possession at the moment, so you can quite clearly see the back five. Whether that's a defensive change, he'll probably think it's more of an offensive change, having the two wing backs pushed up, but out of possession certainly is a back five, taking two very attacking players off in Paquetá and Emerson down that left.
Brighton with João Pedro couldn't get there. Alvarez can come running forward with West Ham, manages to squeeze it forward. The referee has played the advantage. There was a late nibble on him Somerville was lively, ran into a central area, back towards Soucek. West Ham attacking, playing from right to left, out towards the far side, tried to be played forward, interception from Enciso. Mentioned earlier in the first half that Burton Albion in League One have only had one win in their last 10 home games, and despite a new manager, that run might well be continuing, because they've now fallen behind despite taking the lead. Burton Albion 1, Exeter City 2. 5 Live, the World Service and BBC Sounds here at the London Stadium, where it's West Ham United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1, and we've got about 17 minutes remaining. So these are the latest scores. We'll start in the Scottish Premiership. Aberdeen 1, Hibs 3, Rangers leading Dundee by 1-0, and Ross County 1, the 10 men of St Mirren 1. Give you League 2, League 1, Championship in a short while, but this is Beleva. Rolls it to Lamptey. Short sleeves, wearing gloves. What is, it's got to be said, a mild afternoon, as Van Hecker, still sporting the bandage, plays the ball, strikes the back of Somerville, caught by Lamptey, free kick, Paul Robinson.
Yeah, I'm just struggling to understand that change by Julian Lopetegui, because since they've come on, they have sat as a back five. If you're looking for an attacking change, you would expect to see the wing-backs of Scarles and Wan-Bissaka higher up the pitch, especially when they're in possession. That's what you see. You see the full-backs spreading high, spreading wide and making the pitch bigger. But ever since he's made the change, they've been sat as a back five. So it's just an interesting one to keep an eye on as the game goes. Surely you can't be happy sat at 1-1 with, 17 minutes of normal time to go?
You would think not. I mean, bearing in mind that they lost 3 of their first 4 at home this season, albeit against Aston Villa, Manchester City and Chelsea. They've only lost 1 of their last 5, and that was against Arsenal. It was a cracking listen on 5 Live that particular afternoon. It was a thrilling game as they were beaten 5-2. All 7 goals coming in the first half. Here, both goals have come in the second period, as Brighton looking the more likely to nab a winner in the closing stages. Here is Matoma. Matoma's shot, charged down by Sopal, loops up in the air, flick header on by João Pedro, gathered in by Fabianski. MK Dons have got a 3rd goal now, so Newport County 5, MK Dons 3, and another one at Plymouth in the Championship. Hamish Marshall.
Tied up at 2-2, all to play for inside the last 15 minutes. Borough have got level, and it's Hayden Hackney with a shot from just inside the penalty area. It was saved initially, and he followed up with a finish. Plymouth 2, Borough 2.
The 2 results in League 2, Barrow beat Fleetwood Town by 2-0. Doncaster beat Tranmere 3-1. Tranmere finished with 10 men. These are the latest scores in League 2. Accrington 0, Salford 1, Chesterfield 1, Wimbledon 0, Harrogate 0, Walsall 2. So the leaders against the 10 men of Harrogate have got a 2-goal cushion and are looking to extend their lead, because Port Vale, second in the table, are still being held by struggling Carlisle United at 0-0. Elsewhere, Morecambe 0, Bromley 1. Morecambe still yet to win at home this season. Newport 5, MK Dons 3, Notts County 3, Bradford City 0. I mentioned that goalless scoreline at Vale Park, and Swindon Town lead Grimsby Town by 3-1. Latest scores in League 1 and the Championship to come here on 5 Live in the World Service. But we've got 15 minutes remaining. It remains 1-1. Nottingham Forest are 2-0 up at Brentford, and Newcastle United remain 4 goals to the good at Portman Road against struggling Ipswich Town, still looking for their first win since they returned to the top flight. Commentary to come at 5:30 from Selhurst Park on 5 Live of Crystal Palace against Arsenal. But Brighton work the ball out towards Minte on this near side the right, playing from left to right. Back it goes to Lamptey, right back in a central area. Belibo chips it long into the penalty area. Minte can't bring it under control. Goal kick, Paul.
Yeah, they're looking more likely, Brighton, with the shape change of West Ham. It seems to have thrown them out of the rhythm a little bit. They haven't had any really good possession. It's been Brighton are the ones. It's Baliba that sits at the base of that attack, seems to pull the strings. He's very, very clever. Minter on the right hand side and Matoma on the left. That gives you the width that I was talking about that West Ham haven't got since the wing backs have been deployed. With Minter and Matoma, they always carry that threat, especially with Minter down this right hand side.
Give you the 2 results earlier on in League 1. Bristol Rovers 1, Wrexham 1, Lincoln City 2, Reading 0. Reading finishing the game with 10 men. In fact, Louis Holtzman was sent off 8 minutes before half-time. Latest scores to come as Matoma into the penalty area left-hand side, held up by Sofal. Alvarez should clear, and in fact will win a throw off the legs of the Japanese international. So at Oakwell, it's Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 3, Blackpool 0, Stevenage 0, Burton Albion 1, Exeter 2. Mansfield Town are leading Rotherham United by 1-0, Northampton 0, Charlton 4, Wigan 2, Shrewsbury 1. They're the latest scores in League One as we go to John Southall at Brentford.
West Brentford 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Brentford still giving absolutely everything, but just not happening for them at the moment. Forest look reasonably comfortable, and we've got 10 minutes to play. Brentford 0, Forest 2.
Thank you, John. Earlier, Aston Villa beat Manchester City by 2-1. Ball hit long by Verbruggen, edge of the D, up towards Matoma. Tried to bring it under control with a cushioned ball off the top of his right boot, but West Ham see it back towards Fabianski. Swept away to safety, but Lamptey's going to head the ball back towards Brighton. Minty waits for it to settle on this near side, the right. Tried to play in Lamptey with a back heel, didn't he?
It was a lovely first touch that by Matoma on the far side. I know we're a long way away, sat back in the stand, but Verbruggen's absolutely launched out 3/4 of length of the pitch. Matoma's just taking it down on his toe end. What a fantastic touch.
Here is Beleba back with Van Hecker just on the halfway line, snapping his heels with Somerville. No foul. All of a sudden now there's a potential chance to counter-attack with Somerville. Somerville's shot blocked. He had Kudus in space to his right-hand side.
Excellent defending by Lewis Dunk. Showed all his experience there. Turnover possession. Somerville lost the ball. Van Hekke in the midfield. Somerville ran straight into the space, ran straight for goal. But Lewis Dunk got himself in a positioned himself to block the shot from Somerville. Read the game really well. His positional awareness on the pitch there was fantastic, Lewis Dunk.
And Ciso, far side, gathers the ball in, makes a diagonal run into the penalty area, shot away, blocked, comes out towards Somerville, edge of his area, hooks it away. We'll go to Burnley, Katie Smith.
And Watford have got one back. It is Burnley 2, Watford 1. So a slightly tense 10 minutes to come now for the leaders at Burnley. It's come from Barr, punted it in from a corner on the right-hand side. Burnley 2, Watford 1.
Scholes with a cross left-hand side. Lamptey was there, central area covering. Plymouth now lead Middlesbrough by 3-2 in the Championship. Hamish Marshall.
Another twist to this game, and it's Mustafa Bunda who's been excellent as a provider. This time he was a finisher. Cross from the left, he was there at the far post. Plymouth 3, Middlesbrough 2.
West Ham showing a bit of fight, and with 10 minutes remaining, coming back into the game at 1-1. Will anybody grab a winner?
You know, praise Lewis Dunk for his defending there, and it was excellent defending. But Crescencio Somerville, it was such a good chance from a West Ham point of view. Did everything right. Joe Bowen went around him on the overlap, took the defender with him. Lewis Dunk stayed there and got the block in the end. But it opened up for Crescencio Somerville. Had an opportunity from 12, 13 yards out. He just tried to be too cute with it.
Michael Cheeks enjoying an excellent season for Bromley. They're looking to extend their unbeaten run to 9 games. They now lead 2-0 away at Morecambe, but Brighton are attacking here. Matoma goes on a little mazy run. João Pedro, edge of the area, enters the box, chips the ball out towards Minte, heads the ball back, and Ciso couldn't get the acrobatic effort away. He was stopped by Alvarez, who was tight behind him. Brighton, though, picked up that loose ball midway through the West Ham half. 1-1 on 5 Live. Cross comes in from Lamptey. Awkward one to Debo with an outstretched left leg. Clears it away. Helped further away by a back header by Kilman. Midway through the West Ham half. Scholes now plays it up towards Bowen. He's the catalyst for everything good about West Ham United this afternoon. And Bowen now gives Somerville something to chase. But it goes too close towards Verbruggen, and it's gathered in by the goalkeeper.
Look at the two managers. Lopetegui is up and down the touchline. It's an absolutely end-to-end game now. It's open. First half was open for all the wrong reasons because they weren't pressing. Now it's open because two teams are pressing and moving up and down the pitch, but leaving themselves wide open. West Ham very quickly trying to revert into this back five, but the movement of João Pedro and Mitoma on the left-hand side has been excellent in the recent 10 minutes.
The results in the Championship earlier: Hull City 2, Swansea 1, Portsmouth 4, Coventry 1. Sheffield Wednesday, despite being down to 10 men, beat Stoke City by 2-0. Before I run through the rest of the scores in the Championship, let's get news of another goal at Home Park from Hamish Marshall.
I think we can officially call this a Christmas cracker. Middlesbrough have equalised for the third time. One of a triple substitution, Emmanuel Lat at the far post. Plymouth 3, Middlesbrough 3.
And here, unbelievably, Brighton had a chance to take the lead from Minte's low ball in from the right. Just break off because there's a counter-attack. Kudus plays it behind Somerville. How did that not go in? It's come back off the post.
I've watched it 3 times. I still don't know how that's not gone in. It's a lovely ball to the far post of Minte. He does everything right. He puts it low across the goal. It goes through one, it goes through 2 pairs of legs. It arrives to Mitoma. He's got the simplest of tasks. Mitoma at the far post. He must be half a yard, not even a yard away. Completely misses the ball. Hits the far post. Falls harmlessly into Lewis Fabianski's hands. How that hasn't ended up in the back of the West Ham net, I have no idea.
He was grateful to dive on that ball, was Fabianski. but it's certainly now both sides are going for it here at 1-1, and we have 8 minutes remaining of normal time. So the latest scores in the Championship: Burnley 2, Watford 1, Coventry 0, the leaders Sheffield United 2, Leeds are hammering Oxford United by 4-0. Much for Gary Rowett to ponder as the new manager watches from the stands at Ellen Road. Millwall 0, Blackburn 0, Plymouth 3, Middlesbrough 3, as we've heard from Hamish, QPR 1, Preston North End 1, Sunderland 2, Norwich City 1. They're the latest scores, so you're up to date as Rodriguez is going to be coming on for Alvarez. That's the change that is going to be in the offing. Guido Rodriguez, who they signed from Real Betis, but Brighton are attacking. Mente with a cross over the head of a leaping Wan-Bissaka. Will it be kept alive on the far side? Kudos runs back to help defence. They help the defence for West Ham United, and Kudos continues to come forward and gets a throw for West Ham midway through his own half. 1-1, Paul Robinson.
That's such a waste for Mente on his right-hand side. He's been excellent since he's come on, but it's just a little bit of a lack of quality there. Lamptey does so well. He plays the ball in between Scarles and Kilman, I think it is. Threads the pass through absolutely perfectly. And all Minter's got to do is just loft it into the 6-yard box or play it across the floor. He gets it all wrong. He puts too much of a boot on it, goes harmlessly at the back post. But another really good opportunity by Brighton. It's Brighton who are doing all the attacking.
7 minutes remaining. Commentary to come at 5:30 from Selhurst Park. Then it's 6:06, 085 909 693 to call Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. And then we go straight to, or back to Riyadh, because of course that's where Sports Report comes live from at 5 o'clock tonight for the big fight. Usyk against Fury. Kilman stepping out of defence, caught by Estepinian, and Estepinian shown a yellow card, and the referee quickly and clearly tells the West Ham players, do not surround me.
Looks a naughty one, really looks a naughty one, because Estepinian, he slid in with his legs wide apart, and I think the only thing that stopped him from getting an immediate red, he's not snapped his legs together like a scissor tackle, but he's slid from a long way away with his legs apart on his backside. He's taken Kilman with his left foot, and it doesn't look a pretty tackle. I think he's lucky to get away with that.
Well, Paul Turner, the VAR at Stockley Park, will be having a look at it. Kilman running forward. Studs were certainly showing, weren't they?
That's not nice. Looking at that again on the monitor, and we might have a little break while he has a look at this. I mean, there was excessive force there. He really has caught Max Kilman high on his left shin. He comes in, as I say, sliding on his backside. Oh, that's a nasty one. I'll be very surprised, really surprised. That is excessive force. I mean, we've seen some strange decisions of recent weeks from VAR, but they must be having a look at that, or he's at least got to send the referee to the monitor. He's gone through, his left foot's caught Max Kilman halfway up the shin. I think Max Kilman's done him a favour, you know, by getting up and carrying on, because that tackle, the more you watch it, the worse it gets.
Rodriguez for Alvarez is waiting to happen. Ferguson's going to be coming on for Matoma as well. As well, VAR must still be having a look because play is yet to resume. Shrewsbury Town have got a late equaliser at Wigan Athletic in League One. Wigan 2, Shrewsbury 2. Accrington 0, Salford City 2 is the latest score in League 2. Forest, remember, still lead 2-0 at Brentford. Ipswich 0, Newcastle United 4. Play then is back underway, so the yellow card stands for Estepinian. Bowen with a first-time cross from the left-hand side. Comes off the body of Evan Ferguson and goes behind for a West Ham United corner kick, 1-1.
I can't believe that he's not even been sent over to the screen to look at that challenge by Estepinian. I don't want to see players sent off, but there's got to be some kind of level, some kind of consistency every week. Listen, watch it yourself tonight on Match of the Day, make your own decision, but that was an ugly challenge by Estepinian on Max Kilman. Max Kilman's done him the world of good and a lot of favours by getting up and carrying on.
Match of the Day tonight, 10:30, BBC One. Corner kick for West Ham. Somerville to take it, crowded area. It's a double fist away from Verbruggen. Scarles the substitute. Forward ball, Somerville beaten to it by Lamptey. Slid in the penalty area, got there first. Brighton now the ones having to do the defending. We've got 4 minutes remaining of normal time here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
That, on the other hand, was a perfectly timed challenge by Tariq Lamptey, and it had to be. Somerville was running into the penalty box. Took a chance, Lamptey slid in from 4 or 5 yards away, timed it to perfection in the end.
Alvarez is still on, they're waiting, they've shelved plans for that substitution. As the corner comes in, bit of a scramble inside the penalty area, comes out then towards Somerville, his cross, only as far as Alvarez tries to place it. Fabulous save, flying save by Verbruggen, took off early, seemed to almost hang in the air as he dived to his left. and then two-handed turned it behind for a corner kick. 1-1, 3.5 minutes remain.
Yeah, it's a good save, but he's made it look even better than it was. His legs were even higher than his hands. Comes out to the end of the box, and it's Alvarez. Takes a lovely touch. Alvarez opens himself up, and he has a real cultured strike. Gets it outside, curls it in.
In comes the corner, headed away by Van Hecker at the near post. No other goals to tell you about elsewhere around the country. West Ham United now fire it back in with Bowen gathered in by Verbruggen. Have you ever done that?
Shall I tell you about that save? It wasn't as good as you said it would. I've just watched it again. He's made an absolute meal out. He's made it look a worldie. It was a good save. It was a really good save. But when you watch it, his legs were higher than his hands. He's made it look a lot better than it was. But it was a good save.
When did you leave the Union?
Oh, my card was revoked a long time ago in lieu of honesty.
Here is Van Hecker. He certainly did make it look good at the first time of asking anyway. 1-1. 2.5 minutes remain. Pedro back then with Ayari, the substitute, plays it back. Belieber walking onto this forward of the centre circle, out towards Enciso, far side the left, playing from left to right. Enciso's in swinging cross, headed away well by Kilman under pressure, helped further clear by Alvarez. No sign of Rodriguez coming on to replace him. West Ham centre a chugging Wan-Bissaka away on that right hand side, but Brighton saw it back towards Verbruggen as Van Hecker comes under pressure from the tireless Jared Bowen.
Well, that's what the crowd are getting on West Ham players' backs for, because Jared Bowen's up there absolutely working his socks off, and the gap between Jared Bowen and the rest of his team is immense, and everyone inside the London Stadium can see that.
Ball played forward by Wan-Bissaka. Souček never really had full control of the ball over the halfway line. Charlton have hit a 5th goal in injury time. Northampton Town 0, Charlton Athletic 5 is the latest score in League One. And Queen's Park Rangers now lead Preston North End by 2-1 as they look to go 7 unbeaten. Jimmy Dunn popping up with an 89th minute goal. Belabor fires the ball out towards that left-hand side. It's an early cross in. Here is Ferguson, couldn't get the connection. Opened up his right foot, tried to place it goalwards. It seemed to brush off the face of that right boot. Here is Minte, keeping it alive for Brighton, right side of the area. Minte with the cross, Ferguson with a diving header, couldn't get on the end of it, and it runs out of play for a goal kick. 1-1, 90 seconds remain.
What a chance that is for Ferguson. It's a beautiful ball into the box, and he just doesn't get any kind of surface on it. It bounces in front of him, and he tries to put a side foot on it. He doesn't get any type of connection. It goes harmlessly wide. He should do better, the big striker. Lovely work down the flanks again by Brighton. Ball into the box. Just after that, Minter puts another ball in. Ferguson throws himself full length at a diving header, but a really good opportunity there by Evan Ferguson.
The change that we told you about 7 minutes ago is actually now going to happen, with Guido Rodriguez coming on for Alvarez. And the other thing to tell you is there are going to be 6 minutes of additional time, which we're about 30 seconds away from.
Well, if you'd have told me that at the end of the first half, I'd have been very disappointed, where now I'm actually quite pleased because they've got a really good game. Brighton in the ascendancy at the moment, but both teams, it's that stretched. You wouldn't rule out either one of them going down the end and the other end and getting a winner.
Brighton and Hove Albion, who took the lead, they have dropped 14 points from winning positions this season after scoring the first goal. Could be yet more drop points after doing the same here today. West Ham United in injury time, attacking. Kudos, right corner of the area. Interception from Belabor. There is confirmation of the 6 minutes that we're into. And as Paul says, all of a sudden, this could be anybody's. Brighton wanted the shirts to go surging forward. Belabor passes the ball out towards Enciso. João Pedro is there. Todibo will come across. Little nudge in the back, has to concede the corner.
Been really impressed with Belabor. Carlos Balabor's been outstanding today for Brighton, both defensively and offensively. He's sat at the pivot, the deep line midfielder, if you like. He's joined in the attack, he's protected his back four. Been really, really impressed with him.
If there are any other latest scores, late goals around the country, you'll hear them here on 5 Live and the World Service, also available on the BBC Sounds app. But with 1-1 in injury time, Brighton and Hove Albion, far side the left, have got a corner kick that Enciso waits to take. Comes in now, it's an in-swinger. Lamptey couldn't get on the end of it, and it goes all the way out of play for a goal kick.
Feels like a bit of a waste, a bit of an anticlimax. Poor set play from the far side from Enciso, over the top of everybody, and drifts out for a goal kick. But now I say, what have we got left now? We're entering the last 4.5 minutes or so of added time. There's still time for a chance.
Sheffield United, the Championship leaders, have extended their unbeaten run to 11. They've beaten Cardiff City, who are now without a win in 8, by 2-0. As Fabianski waits to take this goal kick. The points safe surely for Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, who lead 4-0 and 2-0 respectively in Ipswich and Brentford in the Premier League. Millwall are leading Blackburn Rovers by 1-0. They've lost their last 3. David Livermore in the caretaker charge. And for a Blackburn Rovers side, Paul's former club, who've won their last 6, conceding very, very late. Barnsley 0, Leyton Orient 4 is the latest score in League One. And in fact, with 4 minutes remaining of added on time, there is a stoppage in play. We'll get news of that Millwall goal from Sam Ashu.
Yeah, managerless Millwall lead at the Den, just a couple of minutes to go, Ian, and it was Mihailo Ivanovic. They've deserved this win despite the fact that they've lost their last 3 games in a row, and it looks like they're going to take it here 1-0. Just a couple of minutes to go now.
Sheffield United have won then 2-0. Leeds United, second in the table, have beaten Oxford United by 4-0. Another of Paul's former sides. It means now that Leeds have won their last 9 at home. Port Vale, second in League 2, have been held by struggling Carlisle United 0-0. Walsall will extend their lead at the top of League 2. Paul.
Oh, it's fantastic for Leeds. I mean, the run that they're on at home. It's going to be a really good battle at the top of the Championship, as we know.
The last we heard, Burnley were hanging on, leading Watford 2-1. Sunderland 2, Norwich 1. They're the teams behind those 2 Yorkshire clubs riding high at the top of the Championship. As Minte picks up the ball on this near side, the right, Wan-Bissaka drops off him. Minte enters the penalty area, passes the ball to Ferguson, pulls it back. A Yari shot saved by the legs of Fabianski, and then Enciso, the block came in from Todibo, just threw his body in front of it as Brighton looked for a late winner. We're deep into added on time here, 1-1. This is João Pedro, left-hand side of the penalty area, plays it back, and Enciso edge of the area, curling effort, and then gathered by Fabianski. We'll hear from Paul and his thoughts on that. But before that, there's been a goal at Portman Road. Chris Coles.
Maybe not. Newcastle think they have a 5th. Dan Burns put it into the back post, but it is being checked by VAR. Ipswich 0, Newcastle 5 pending.
Good save by Fabianski, wasn't it?
A good double save. He's just kept his team in the game. He just looks like he might have earned his team a point. Evan Ferguson, really good centre-forward play. Sets the ball to Ayari, 7-8 yards from goal. In the goalkeeper's defence, he makes himself big, he spreads, but Ayari should do so much better. He's 7 yards from goal, he can see the whole goal. But Fabianski makes a fantastic block. And what was more impressive, it went out to Enciso at the edge of the box, who curled a shot from distance, which was really difficult. Fabianski had Brighton players bearing down on him, 2 hands on it, and he managed to hold on to the shot, because that was a difficult one.
2 minutes remain of added on time. Still 1-1 here at the London Stadium, and Enciso coming forward on that far side, the left, rolls the ball back. This is Estepinian to come forward, leaves it now for João Pedro, and Enciso has stayed out wide. The ball is played to him, and Enciso pulls it back. João Pedro, left corner of the area, runs across the penalty area, then backheels it towards Ayari, and Enciso wants it to feet, gets round the back, and then his cross saved by Fabianski at his near post.
Well, Brighton are certainly in the ascendancy at the moment. The West Ham fans, the ones that are not leaving the stadium, they're shouting at Fabianski to release the ball quickly, but there's nobody upfield. West Ham are jogging out slowly, they want the ball at the other end. They look the happier of the 2 sides with a point at the moment.
Too sure whether you'd class it as a mini revival for West Ham United, but it would be 5 points out of a possible 9. That win against Wolves followed up with back-to-back draws then against Bournemouth and Brighton. If indeed it does stay like this with 60 seconds remaining of added on time. Newcastle United have beaten Ipswich Town. That 5th goal didn't stand, so they've Ipswich 0, Newcastle United 4 is how it's finished. Burnley did hang on as well. So Burnley matching Sheffield United and Leeds United with a win at the top of the Championship. And Enciso left-hand side of the area, and Enciso curls it, arriving. Oh, Lamptey. That was... The 2 players clattered into each other. Some extremely brave defending, but that really was a sickening blow. Lamptey is at least back to his feet, but Wan-Bissaka is still down, actually in the goal.
Wow, what a piece of defending by Wan-Bissaka. I mean, he's laid in the back of the net with his hands on his head. He looked really hurt. The collision at first glance looked absolutely awful, but the physios have just been told that they're not needed. That is an incredible piece of bravery by Wan-Bissaka. And Enciso lifts the ball to the far post, and he throws himself in front of Tariq Lamptey. It looks for sure that Lamptey's just going to head it into an empty net. Wan-Bissaka comes from nowhere, almost a diving header across Tariq Lamptey to clear the ball off Lamptey's head, off the line. That's an incredible piece of bravery by Wan-Bissaka.
just purely focused on the ball. Lamptey is a diminutive figure, but he was arriving with pace, looking to try and head it from close range, but Wan-Bissaka with the header clear. Hibs have beaten Aberdeen 3-1 incidentally, and the top four in the Championship have all won because Sunderland did beat Norwich by 2-1. Sports Report is on its way. By my watch, the 6 minutes of added on time are over here. West Ham United 1, Brighton 1. Brighton will still remain unbeaten now in 8 visits to the London Stadium, unless something dramatic happens in the next closing 10 seconds or so. This is surely going to be the last bit of action. And Sofal on this near side, the left, has headed across to take a throw. A domino effect as the crowd rise to their feet in front of us. Sofal launches it in, flicked on inside the penalty area, headed out and then headed away, and there is indeed the final whistle. 1-1. Paul Robinson.
Really poor first half, not a good watch at all. Second half was excellent. Both teams, they applied themselves well. Said in the half time the two managers would go in and they had something to build on. They certainly did. Brighton came out, they looked the brighter. The first goal, not only Brighton needed it, but the game needed it. Sprung West Ham into life. There was tackles, there was challenges, and it was a really good second half. And in all honesty, Ian, I think as both teams walk off towards us and go down the tunnel, I don't think a draw's a bad result. I think it's a fair result. If either team would have won that, the other one would have felt hard done to. A draw's a fair result here today.
Mats Vifa giving Brighton the lead after 51 minutes. 7 minutes later, Kudos won the rebound with a header to equalise. Brighton and Hove Albion 5 without a win now, but for West Ham United, they have certainly arrested their slide down towards the nether regions of the Premier League. Finished then at the London Stadium. West Ham United 1, Brighton and Hove Albion 1.